All right, good evening, everyone. May I have your attention, please? Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Board of Selectmen special meeting. Today's Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. Time now is 7:01 p.m.
And I'd like to call to order the Board of Finance meeting on February 10th, 2026 at 7:01 p.m. And now, if you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. This is an exciting night in Bethel. We see some of the usual faces here. I don't think we have any new department heads here yet. But we're going to just go right into it. We're going to kick off with social services. That is account 30-200.
Okay, so my favorite day of the year is tonight. My name is Megan Orpizadian. For those of you that don't know me, I am the social worker for the town of Bethel, and I do anything from nice, easy, breezy calls, like when should I apply for Medicare, to more complicated calls that somebody is being evicted or there's a big issue in the home. So everything within what I'm requesting is the same with the exception of the salary. I am requesting an additional $12,920, and that is for per diem staff so that I can have, aside from the per diem, that I can have increased hours with one of my per diems or two of my per diems doing consistent hours. I do have Mary O'Leary, who's my #1 assistant, and she is doing Tuesdays the last few weeks for 6 hours, and it's been so helpful. I don't know what I would do without my per diem staff, so I'm asking for an increase in that because the cases that I'm seeing that are complicated, the more complicated the case, the more time that has to be put into that case. And the numbers are increasing. When I first started 8 years ago, I may have had 5 calls for the year. Now I feel like every week there's at least one call, sometimes multiple calls in one day. And it's gotten to a point where it's very difficult for me to keep up with. I pride myself on my work ethic. I pride myself on my communication. Not necessarily tonight and communicating here. However, I love to communicate with people. I believe you have to be quick, efficient. If you don't know the answer, it doesn't matter. You have to get back to that person and let them know you'll follow up with them. So one person who was not upset, but I did it, and I feel so bad about this. He called me about his dad. I talked to his dad right away, but I didn't follow up with him that day, and that's not my thing. And I messed up on a Christmas request where I gave 2 people that were adopting a child the same person, but different ages and genders, but I had the same wishes. So I don't like to mess up like that. So I'm asking for the $12,920. Everything else is the same. I know that a lot of the department here, you'll hear from probably a lot of the departments that they're seeing a higher acuity in the needs in our town that make, things not enjoyable, but more complicated. So it was really good. So just to let you know, my assistant hours when I first started, we had Bob Kozowski and Matt Knickerbocker who were reminding me, oh, you have per diem hours. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's great, but I'm not sure really how I'll use them. So I started off that first year with 96.25 that I utilized. Last year I used 338, and then this fiscal year thus far I've used 572. And I have $20,000, so I have about 800 hours. I'm getting a little close to being uncomfortable with how much I've utilized already. Consistently every year, 23, 24, 25, I've had 6 referrals to Elderly Protective Services for people that are seniors, and I've been referred usually to the first responders or somebody. And this year, so far, I have 3, and I have 1 pending for a home visit that I did today, so I'll have 4 tomorrow.
Just not to cut Megan up. So the request for the additional part-time hours is $10,920. 2,000 of that is for the existing staff. That was an increase by the first selectman after the start of the year. So,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, so the total budget I'm asking for is 128,670, which is about $40,000 more than when I first started. Most of that, some went to, it was an increase for the evictions, but most of that was for staffing needs. Just to give you an idea, the biggest program that I do is the food pantry. We don't actually do the distributions. The Methodist Church, the food is distributed twice monthly at the Methodist Church by volunteers, but we register people for the pantries. This fiscal year so far, I have 196 households registered. Last fiscal year, we ended at 249. I found it really interesting though, because we're about 200 people in those households. There's a difference, but only 53 households less than 249. So last year we ended, those households were comprised of 549 people. We had 66 new households to social services. This year we have 196 households, but only 350 people. So I was just looking at my households. I'm seeing an increase in households of one that are in need of more services. I'm not seeing the big families that I used to have, the 8 people, in a family. I'm seeing a lot of ones and 2. So we have 89 of the households, 89 of the 196 households are comprised of just one person, one member, that's it. And then 37 of those households have 2 members. We have 44 new households so far this fiscal year, and 15 of those have at least one senior. So that's a lot. That's a quarter of the members. And a lot of the seniors, I feel like I know most of them, but it's just showing you that the cost of living is just too expensive to live, especially for people on a fixed income. Of my 196 households, 38 are homeowners, 3 are adults living in a home owned by a relative, and then 155 are renters. And it could be senior housing, an apartment in a home, or apartments in a home. We've received, I'm so sorry, I'm so nervous. I feel myself shaking.
Why don't you see if anybody has any questions?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask.
The best presentation we've heard so far,
I-
without a
I-
doubt. Without a doubt,
You're
the
gonna
best.
say that in the-
No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that.
So any questions from the Board of Selectmen side?
Board of Finance on question, Karen?
Sorry, my voice is going. The monies that you give to the NGOs, do they come to you and ask for it? Or do you seek them out?
We did have, initially, we had a system set up that they would have to request it, but now we do it a little differently. So, we do it for the NGOs that we refer to most often.
Which are?
We refer most often to Amos House, which is a homeless shelter for moms and their children. Renewal House, which is a shelter to seniors. Regional Hospice, the Community Action Agency of Western Connecticut. I have my.
You did Kind Works, Brotherhood in Action.
Oh, yeah,
Bethel
Brotherhood in
Historical
Action.
Society,
Yeah,
New Opportunities,
Yep.
Meals on Wheels, right?
yep, Walnut Hill, 3 of them are for food pantries. We do the Walnut Hill Pantry. They see an extraordinary amount of people each distribution. They have like 800, 900 people. So yeah, Brotherhood, all the food.
Another
Do you
question.
base that amount on how many people you referred to each one?
No, we don't. We did do 6 already for this fiscal year, and each check was for $1,000. And the agencies are just so happy to get that, and we know what big difference. I know how I feel when I get a donation, and I know what a big difference it makes. So they are really appreciative, knowing that they have the support from the local communities, not just the referrals and the expectations that they're going to exhaust their resources to help.
So
Go ahead.
do you make an attempt to, like, I see there's an unused amount from last year. So where could that have gone and why didn't it go somewhere?
We were talking about that. That was the first year that we just did it a little bit differently, and
Let me jump in to help you on that, Megan.
okay.
So what we did a little bit differently is we were always getting requests from all kinds of NGOs, some of which really didn't do much in Bethel, but they kept coming in. And what we did last year, tried to do differently, was we would actually pick events that the NGOs did. So Center for Empowerment or Education Empowerment. What else? We had a bunch of here. We had RBNA. Yeah, so
Ability Beyond.
Ability Beyond. We went and we actually bought tickets to the breakfasts and the dinners, right? And then we went and tried to get town people to go with us. So obviously we've had a member of the Board of Finance go. We had a superintendent go. We've had some high school students get picked to go. And the idea was that in addition to, just giving them the money, we were trying to connect them to people in the community and connect people who are here with them. As a result, we actually spent less that year. Like as we did the budget, we just spent less. And we probably could have done better with, giving to a couple of the other agencies. So this year we've done it differently. Like we picked some of the agencies that we routinely refer to. Again, I've had people come, a good example would be the Community Action Agency of Western Connecticut. Last year, we didn't know that anybody really was serving Bethel. We've had a couple others kind of reach out to us like that. So we've made it clear that we want some proof, I guess, that they've done things for Bethel people. So I think this year we're probably on track with getting closer to that number, but just wanted to it was a little bit of a change last year. So this year it's more of a hybrid.
Yeah. Our goal is to fulfill distribute the $20,000 to the NGOs because we would be lost without them. I'm a social worker who is not a Band-Aid social worker. I make sure that they have the resources, and you'll see through all my programs, I do not use any town money in our programs between back to school and the holiday. It's probably close to $20,000 to run those programs with what we give back to school and everything. And everything is through donations. There's nothing I use. And when somebody calls me because they need energy assistance or there's an emergency, let's call the Community Action Agency together. And we are usually successful even with the emergency funding to get them that. So that's not coming from the taxpayers to fulfill that.
Well,
Okay, the $12,000 for this assistant, is it a new assistant or
No.
an existing?
Right, so I have 20,000 with per diem hours, and some weeks it's fine. Like there's a little lull with nothing significant going on except for maybe crises or just the normal calls. But come June through to September, it's wild, and then again it picks up October through the end of the holidays. So I have the 20,000 for per diems, but I'm looking for an additional because it's not complaining, but it's just got to be too much for me to a point where I didn't even take any vacation time. Dan allowed me to carry over some of that vacation time, but it's difficult. It's difficult when there's a lot of complex cases. So what I'm having the assistant do is do the thank you notes, so we get those out in a timely fashion. Do visit when some home visits with me, and also today somebody came in and an elderly gentleman who's going to be moving March 1st to Simeon Village. He came in with his cousin, and Mary met with him, going over all the resources, registering him for the pantry, the things that it's not always easy to be doing those things. I had a gal who was homeless at one of the shopping centers, and I had to also be here for Access Health at the same time. And it's just, I need help. And I said to Dan and Brett, I am not proud of needing help because that is not who I am. So admitting to that, and then having someone in my office is nothing that I'm really looking for either, because I'm a distractible person. But
Does the amount of hours, is it all going to one person? And is there a risk, Brad, of it being too many hours and making them full-time?
Yeah, so it wouldn't be anywhere near the we try to keep people part-timers under 20 hours so we don't run into remotely the benefit pieces that she's talking about, having
6 hours a week.
Yeah, and having one person every Thursday that comes in, they work every Thursday. Other times of the year, they'll around Christmas and stuff, they'll put in more hours, but she's in no risk of being
So
getting to the
what's
benefit.
the total hour?
6 hours, Tuesdays from
Yeah.
10 until 4. And then another 3 hours. So 9 hours altogether.
Yeah, I think what we do.
So how many hours does $12,000 buy?
Well, that's what
Oh.
we're getting to right
Yeah, so
So
the,
$12,000 is gonna buy me 9 hours a week for the duration of the whole year.
450 hours?
9 times 52, I don't know, what is that?
450.
460.
Okay. And then the $20,000 I have gets me, 800 hours of per diem hours.
Who are you paying them 25 an hour roughly?
Well, between 20, everyone gets 20.
So
except
there's
for the
different,
lead
it's not
gets
just one
25.
employee, there's different employees.
Yes,
Okay, that,
Yeah.
that answers the question. Yeah, it's not all
Yeah.
one to one
Yeah.
employee.
so we've been lucky in the fact that like the two main part-timers that she has are making so that we don't need another full-timer at this point. So she's spreading
Right.
amongst a couple different people.
right,
And then she can load up more at the holidays because she has less
Right.
time. during the rest
right,
of the year.
holidays, back to school.
Yeah.
But I try to cut back too, so I made the back to school party less complicated. We did not do backpack stuffing this year, which takes a lot of time. We gave everyone gift cards to Staples and had the party at Greenwoods, which was a hit, so,
Thank
I
you.
tried to eliminate those extras that I may not need. But I need it. I would not ask her to leave me. I would not ask her if I don't need it. Sometimes I feel like
Megan,
I could.
I'm gonna build a little fire and you can throw yourself on it. That's right here. You're awesome. I mean, just.
How backlogged are you?
I don't feel like I am right now because I make sure that I am not. And if 2 days I put in to take off and I did not take those days off because that's the person I am, because that's the person that I want to be received by too on other ends for myself and my family and my loved ones. So I don't feel that I am. I do have to make a referral to Elderly Protective Services for a home visit I did today. They like to have it within 24 hours. It would have been great if I did it today, but I didn't. I didn't have time, did not allow that because that home visit was very complicated to a point where I had to involve a lot of people and make a lot of calls to family and different people to make sure that.
Board of Finance is fine.
As
I
well.
have a comment.
Oh,
I
another
just
comment,
want to say out loud, you know how fabulous I think you are and the most diligent, hardworking, seriously. You know,
Thank you.
there's no one that, I mean,
Thank you.
there are other people who deserve respect like that, but you.
Thank you.
And for what you're saying, that you don't want to be backlogged, and obviously you're passionate about what you do, but it's not sustainable.
Right.
Continue to do this without extra help. That's what I'm
Right.
hearing.
Right, for me to be effective, and it would be nice if I could actually do, because I always like to bring new ideas, and it would be nice if I could do some new things for people, especially that the age bracket that doesn't get enough are the middle-aged adults that do not have children. So one year we got Lardnelli gift cards for them to get oil changes and little hand towels, and it was like we were giving them $1 million.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh, I'm not even gonna finish.
No, you're good. You're good.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, next up is
Again.
Lisa Plum from the Senior Center, account number 10-430.
Good evening. I'd like to first start by offering anyone that hasn't been down to the senior center yet to please come down, and we'd love to give you a tour and get you familiar with all the programs and services that we do there. I'm happy to report that the senior center is doing great. We offer 40+ activities per week. The activities are well attended, including special events and trips. We're offering day trips and overnight trips, including a trip to the International Tattoo in Virginia, to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to Cape Cod, and we're doing a Mediterranean tour this year. Our membership has increased 9% from last year. We currently have 1,310 members. We've begun a social connection program. The goal is to motivate homebound senior individuals that have been isolated in their homes to connect with the community once again, whether it be the senior center or other locations within the town, as well as to socialize with their peers. My coworker and I attended a conference in Atlanta on this subject, and we received some great information there. In regard to the budget, the senior center is in good shape with supplies and equipment. We are not in need of an increase, but I do ask that our budget remain as is, so we're able to offer programs and services that are necessary for our senior citizens in our community. I'd like to thank you for your support of the senior center and for serving on the Board of Finance. And that's it, folks. Does anyone have any questions?
So it looks like the only change was 5,159 for salary increase.
Yeah, and I don't control that at all.
No, that's
yeah.
fine. I don't have any questions. That's
Yeah.
pretty straightforward. Thank you.
You said, what year is the van that Andy drives now? You know what year that van is?
Yeah, I don't know the exact year,
I think.
but we are in the
about 6 years
process of
ago.
writing a grant for another van.
Oh, so we can take that off the capital list.
Yeah,
Karen, do you need that? or-
No.
we're just
Figure out
beginning
it.
it, so I'm not sure it's even gonna go through this year, but we're working on it.
The grant's not gonna go through this year, but. the
I'm
van-
not sure.
But the
We
van's
just
okay, right?
started it. The van's doing okay right now, but we will need something in the next few years.
The grant just came up through what's called, it was announced to us, so we're jumping on it. I think we have to have it done in March. So we'll see. And historically, some folks have gotten decent grants towards transportation from this, so. hopefully we'll get
The
it.
town has to do a percentage of it, has to pay.
Actually,
Like
with this one, we may not.
60,000 and we had to pay 12.
This one, I don't know if we're actually gonna have money in it. It may do the whole thing,
Okay.
but I'll let you know as soon as
And
we
then
know.
one of the tenets of the grant was that it had to be in operation 40 hours a week. We found that out later.
This is a different grant than the last one.
Okay, good.
2017.
2017 on the vehicle?
Yeah.
Thank you, Brett.
The other piece in your books is the capital plan. It's in the front packet. So as departments that have capital items, I'm gonna try to remember it in case you have any questions about those. You'll see on the senior center, they're all question marks. We haven't gotten prices yet. They've been out there for a while. We just, at some point, we need Public Works to look at it and kind of scope some of it out. They've just been so swamped with other pressing needs. That's why we don't have it to the price that we've gotten prices on them or have estimates on it. So, but
Brad, since you're on that, I mean, it is over on Park and Rec, not to feed up Park and Rec, there's over $1 million worth of lighting on different fields.
We'll probably talk about that in
I
the
just
Parks and Rec.
look over it.
Yeah.
I thought it was all the same year. So
Yeah.
that's
We'll
what the
talk
intent
about that
was.
under, we're gonna do it in each group.
Karen has a question.
I noticed that you didn't use the education budget last year. Do you have plans for education this year?
We'd like to do more, particularly with the social connection program. We just went to one conference just to get more familiar with it. A lot of these, since COVID, a lot of the conferences and different things are by Zoom, so I didn't need to use it.
See, makes sense.
And you'll see across the departments that like, if they don't just spend it because it's there. So, you know, like she gave back money. She came in over in activities last year, but she came back under in dues and education and office expense. So.
Questions from the side? No, we're good.
All right.
Brian, that was the best one, wasn't it, Brian?
Sure.
I'll give her the
All right,
best one.
Lisa.
Megan's gone,
Well
so
done,
yeah,
thank
she
you.
was the best
Yeah.
one.
Okay,
Thank
so
you, Lisa.
next up, Parks and Recreation, account 10,380.
Hello. That side knows me really well.
Hi, folks. My name is Lou Valenti. I'm the chairman of the Parks and Recreation Commission, and I'm here representing my fellow commission members. I see a lot of new faces. We had a wonderful working relationship with the previous Board of Finance, and I'm sure we'll have one with the new Board of Finance. So good luck to all the new folks. I'm just here to just say that we had a very busy year last year. We created a lot of new programs, which is exciting, a half a dozen for kids, several for adults, and we saw increases in our existing programs across the board. And we think that Rachel and her crew do a tremendous job. And it wasn't without challenges. We had one of our field maintainers went through a pretty serious illness and was out for a long period of time. But despite that, Rachel got through it all with flying colors. That's all I have to say. Passing it on to our director.
Going like this. So I feel like our 26-27 budget really reflects good planning, decision making, and I think year 3 we're really providing real, true, accurate figures to continue quality of the programs and the services that we deliver to the town. We've aimed to keep things as close to status quo as possible. I think where we have increased, there are necessary increases. But we believe that the numbers that we have presented are going to allow us to maintain our current level of service to the community effectively. Any questions? I can go through parts of it if you'd like.
Can you just explain the maintenance and supplies increase?
Absolutely.
What are you looking to get?
So maintenance and supplies, porta potties increased. We ended up having to add extra porta potties throughout the educational complex, specifically at the turf, just because of the high usage. So really from April to November, we started with 1 unit. Within the first 2 months of high school athletics and youth athletics, 2 were necessary. Even with the bathrooms up by the track, we needed to have 2 there, mostly for the baseball side of the facility. And those really need to be cleaned twice a week because they're porta potties. It also increased, we have a lot of larger events that happen between baseball, soccer, and other special events where we provide extra units, extra cleanings. We do get reimbursed for those costs, but those initially are coming out of our budget. And then just all the other increases are basic overall increases. Paint went up significantly. Shipping of paint went up significantly. We do try to alleviate a lot of shipping costs. We try to do 2 big bulk orders, the spring order and the fall order. But it's gone up a lot.
And contracted services, is that just an increase
Contracted
on your
services.
vendors, or are you looking?
Contracted services pretty much stayed the same, except for pond management went up a little bit. And we added the turf maintenance line in there. Last year, the turf maintenance is what it does a deep clean. It refills the little tire pieces that go into it so that it all looks brand new. It fixes any seams that might be breaking where the lines are. So anywhere you see a line is a seam on a turf.
So that used to be in maintenance and supplies, and you moved it down to.
We didn't have turf maintenance last year.
So you didn't do it.
We did it last year, and BYSA, the soccer association, paid $4,000 of it out of the 6,500. And in order to keep the liveliness of that turf and get more years out of it, so that we don't have to replace it in 20 years, doing 1, 2 is always better, but 1 will bring back the life into it, and we try to do that in the spring. If at some point we can ever get to a spring and a fall maintenance, per the companies, you could get 20+ years before you really have to consider a full redo of a turf field. And if you guys have seen the turf, it's 3 times the size of most turfs at schools. So it's a very large piece of property to maintain.
Thank you.
One of the things that we've discussed when we were talking about the budget with Dan, Savvy, Rachel, and myself is, and Rachel's going to start looking at these numbers now. In the future budget years, we're probably going to break out some of the stuff that's for the education part and stuff, because like some of this costs have always been like Park and Rec does the whole education part. And some of that she can't control if the baseball team goes on a playoff run and they're hosting games, if more time she's got to paint it. But so just to kind of have a better track of like how much of it is for the education part which is a lot of it dictated by the high school sports and middle school sports.
The goal is to break out paint, time, things like that, just so we have a true cost of the time that my guys put in to maintain. It's a large complex, and between spring and fall, it's nonstop.
Would that not be an expense that's shared by the school?
So we've had those discussions, and some of it gets very complicated of you pay it, you pay it, you pay it, you pay it. So one of the things we've talked about is putting it all in one spot so it's very visible. We've even had internal conversations about, like, we have a 450, a 460 account,
460 account.
starting a 470 account. That's for the education part, just to break it out. So like, just for the visibility of it, you know, like, so we have a better understanding of it, and just go, like, we have arguments of, like, Rachel goes, I don't do bleachers, and the Board of Ed does bleachers, and like, but some of that stuff, like, now some of it's buried in their 460, some's in her account.
Well, you can make percentage of usage and just figure it out like that. You don't have to go every.
Yeah, but at some point you're spending a lot of time trying to, like, figure out where it goes, and so it might make sense, is what we've discussed internally, is starting like a 470 that is, and that means pulling pieces from here and here, not just going, here's all brand new money. It just so we can track it better and go, so it's not an argument. Here's the 470 account. Here's
Right.
the education
So it'd
part.
be kind of like what we did for the EDC, so they can maintain.
Kind of, yeah. It would just be in the operating budget still, but still,
Right,
you
but
know,
still same.
but like, just have it broken out.
Well, it would be much more similar to the 460 account.
Yeah.
Because what happens is there's so many things buried in our budget that go to the schools. It needs to be transparent, but then when it comes to the actual athletic facilities and all that, we're arguing all the time, and it takes a lot of time internally to figure it out. So why don't we just put it somewhere where we all see it?
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Karen has a question.
Go ahead, Karen, sorry.
Can I ask what else Parks and Rec does for the schools? You do the mowing and the snow?
We do the athletic field mowing, we do the sidewalks for the snow, otherwise that like the parking lots and so forth are contracted out by Board of Ed. We maintain all the athletic fields, we line all the athletic fields. We do, basic landscaping throughout the facility that isn't covered by Fairfield County, which is contracted out by the schools. But 90% of our guys' time is spent maintaining the athletic fields, painting the athletic fields. I mean, it's nonstop from March 15th, all the high school teams start, so we're going.
Fences, bathroom.
Fences, bathrooms, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of areas there that we take care of.
Rachel, on contracted services, you have it for the police department. I mean, you have a $7,000 increase. Is that just for the police department?
No, I don't have a
$7,000 increase.
No, the
No,
6,500. So
6,500 is the turf maintenance, Nick?
No, I'm looking at, is it 5313?
Yeah,
Contracted
Yes.
services.
the police station is $10,000 for mow and trim,
and then
$8,000
No
for
change.
landscape.
And then turf
Yeah.
maintenance is extra. This year.
that's a 3-year contract that we have, so that won't
So-
change.
I got you. So you don't do the 2 firehouses, is that correct?
Oh, sorry, we do, she asked about the school complex.
No, I get it. And I'm just trying to get an idea.
Yes, we do
So-
we do the firehouses.
But the mowing for the police department is in your budget.
This contract is, but we don't do it.
No, I get it, but I'm saying you're responsible for the monies, right?
Yes.
But the 2 fire departments, is it in your budget or in their budget?
No,
For their-
it's just my guys' time.
So you
That's just part of the
actually take
basic.
care of the fire departments?
We mow, yep, and we actually do all the snow removal, except for the parking lots.
So who does that? And that's in contracted
That's,
services?
Just
that
their
is not
guys.
my contract.
Okay.
So which contract are you talking about?
Because it
For the
doesn't-
fire,
Okay.
that's,
So
that's
your guys just do
contract
it, right? Don't they go out?
we
and
don't
mow it?
plow, we do
Yeah,
the
oh, plow.
sidewalks.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We don't do the
That's in
parking lots.
so,
Okay.
A lot of
the-
people talking. Point of
sorry,
order.
the Stony Hill plowing is under a contract because it's on the state road. South Street is plowed by our guys. It's just because our plow doesn't drive by Stony Hill. The state is out there. So,
Thank you, Rich.
and then you have capital items on your list too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's have a question?
James has a.
Rachel, you were good with me right up to this point.
He has a
Actually,
question.
No question, James?
No,
Yeah, I have a
easy.
Go ahead.
Right here.
question
Oh,
for
wait,
Brad,
sure.
actually. So I'm looking at programs here, prior
Yeah.
actual 782,000. Does that mean the 24-25 fiscal year?
Yeah, so the prior year actual is 24-25.
Got it. And so the current year is 25-26, and then the request is 26-27.
Correct.
So I guess my question is, why the decrease from the 70 to the 680? I'm sure there's a reason, but I'm just curious.
And there's a lot of history.
So
Yeah.
if you look at the prior year actual, so one of the things that Rachel's been working on is some of her people that get paid through payroll goes to program, some goes to salary. If you look at the actuals for salary last year of 928, if you add the programs, you get to, what's that, 1.7 million?
Yeah.
And if you look at the budget between those two, those accounts get so mixed up because this person works summer camp and that goes programs. So they get charged for summer, they get charged to programs, and their old payroll system, Rachel would have to let us know to change it. Now in our new payroll system, she could change some of those, but she's been spending, like last year, we moved some money from programs to salary. All it is, it's an accounting nightmare because this person works 8 hours that should be a program and 6 hours they're in the office. So when I look at Park and Rec, I usually combine salaries and programs and then look at both of those because it gets
So
a
that's the
couple.
way to think about it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Would it be helpful to say that when it comes to programs, we look to have our programs pay for themselves?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I don't know
Typically,
if
programs
everybody
don't
knows that
run.
generally.
Typically, programs don't run if they don't meet the minimum number.
I was just going to mention for my colleagues, that Parks and Rec also generates income.
Right.
So,
People pay to-
You know,
for the
that what you just
It's a
said
revenue
is
source.
ideal.
Yeah.
That
And because
income.
the fees are paid kind of scattered, it doesn't always show up
Yeah.
in real time.
Rachel,
Save my money.
I know you do a great job and I support the Park and Rec because I think it's a great program. But Lou and I know Greg put a lot of time in and I want to appreciate, thank you guys. You did it in the background and you saved it. You know what I mean? The history, there was, you guys
It's been
are
a
running
great
in the
3
red and I
years.
think it's running, what's
Oh,
that?
It's
yeah.
been a great 3 years.
Yeah, it's been
Yes.
great, but I think we're in a good spot right now. So I
Yeah.
want to acknowledge that you guys did a lot of work in the background.
That's
Yeah,
very kind
thank
of
you.
you, and we feel the same about the Board of Finance.
So just because we're talking about capital as it comes up to, so right now, there's none of these capital items are necessarily things that we put on a referendum. They're items that we hope to eventually pay for through CNR and fund balance and stuff like that. So there might be an item on the referendum for a capital item, but none of the departments we're talking about tonight would be one of those, So if you have a question about anything that shows up on there, it's a good time to ask it because the department head's here. But all these things would come back in front of the board for a CNR request.
And when would that happen?
It's all based
All
on
through
these.
the year.
Like if you look at like,
Yeah, it could be
If I ever, like I came to you guys for the truck.
Right,
Right.
okay.
like the list for requests for 26-27 is almost $12 million.
Right.
But obviously we know we're not going to do the whole $12 million. It gets prioritized throughout the year.
But there's
So Brad, how
there's
does it
nothing-
get on this list then?
So
Is there
this
some kind of,
is the list of,
just department heads, a wish list?
it's potential needs, right? Like, so one way to say it is wish list. Some of these things are wish list items, right? Like, yes, we should do whatever, pick an item on here.
Well,
Some are
like-
needs, like, but that's one of the things that the Board of Selectmen looks at before they send it to the Board of Finance of like, is this a priority? And so that stuff that Dan and I look at all the time of like, yes, like, I'm gonna pick on Rachel for a second, like the lighting upgrade at Hunt. At some point, that's gonna be a need because the lights aren't gonna be available. I think ideally the board, the Park and Rec Commission would like to get it done before it becomes impossible to get the old lights. But there's a balancing act there, right? Like, it's a wish list item until it's not, like at some point, we're not gonna be able to get those. I assume there's still the old non-LED bulbs for that.
All the fields except for the turf are the old ballast lights, which are becoming much harder to.
But it gets
Yeah.
plugged in a certain year. So when I see something like that, I'm like, oh my God, how are we gonna do this? We got roofs, we gotta fix.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct, but that's,
Let me jump in on that because this is not a wish list. These are needs of the town that we know are coming. at
So we're
some
gonna do
point.
this in 26 and 27?
Stop. Let me finish, please. They're needs that are coming. We know they're coming. We don't know when we can get them done. So historically, you've been here a long time doing this. These capital items get kicked back year after year after year because we try each year to come out and prioritize what we need. And I think last year we did that fairly often. Like we got together, we talked about, hey, these are the things that are coming up or really. But we know there's going to happen at some point. Like in the Air Force, we used to call things fly to fail. Or some things are just going to break. But things that are going to break, that are going to be a real problem for the town, we're going to move up in priority. So we stick them in where we think it can make sense and where we can get them done. And then we prioritize them each year. We've done that every year since we've been here. No, we're not going to get them all done in 1 year. It's impossible. But I'll tell you this, for instance, like Johnson soccer field and softball field there, right? $290,000. There's a good chance we're going to get a steep grant and be able to fix that. But part of it's because it's been on our capital plan for a long time. So we may be able to come and say, hey, we need a little money towards a $500,000 steep grant. We may get that knocked out. But these things also have to be on our capital plan. You know, sometimes to get the grants we need. That way, it's not necessarily wish lists. They're just things we're going to need at some point.
I think it was that word wish. That was
Yeah.
a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're also spreading it out.
Well, you guys said wish list. So that's why I jumped in. I'm like,
No, Miss,
Your
Honor,
I
Your
went
Honor.
along with his wish list.
yeah, he said wish list.
Yeah, he
I
started.
I said it.
You
And I'm
said
like,
it,
Brad
and then he
repeated it.
confirmed it.
There are two words I don't like: wish list and slush fund. Those things should never show up in government.
I don't like hope either.
Anyway, that's it.
Nick made eyes at me, you know, and I just were sitting across.
Yeah, right.
But the lighting numbers, you know, are pretty true numbers. Musco was out here recently and just gave us real numbers to replace those fields. And Freeburn, which is the men's field, that would be actually new poles because those are wooden poles. So that would be a complete replacement of the whole system there. You know, obviously, like Dan said, does Freeburn need it? No, but do lights consistently go out there? Yes. And you know, Shock is the group that comes out and does it. And he tells me every year, he's like, these are getting harder and harder to get. So they're definitely needed. I would say that Hunt and Freeburn would be the priority, where DeSantis would be lower on priority because those nice lights are newer than the other two. And they would obviously be replaced with LED lights, which are right to earth that supposedly cut down your cost by 50%. And the lights have 120,000 hours of time per light. So I think overall, it's an investment that you're going to get decades out of. But yeah, it definitely is a large number. But they're right now this year true numbers.
Where is the Rubino property?
Rubino is on Hollyville Road, right
backside
past
of the
Big
old
Y.
Yeah.
You go past Big Y.
Oh,
you go
okay,
past
yes,
Big Y.
yes, okay.
Yeah, so it's a field that didn't get a lot of use in the past, but with the growth of the youth programs, it'll be used 7 days a week this spring,
Yeah.
all of spring by youth football. So it's a field that looks pretty, but you know, if we could give it a little bit more love, it would be more functional for the youth of town.
Can we go down one more?
Go.
Crown Field? What is that?
Crown?
Where is that?
On Ballfield Road, you know, when you're
Oh, the
going,
one all the way down that dead end little road there?
yes.
And we're gonna, I'm sorry, for 370, is that what, just a makeover for the whole thing?
Well, my goal one day is to, you know, the old school turf that was like a floor. I want to make it old school turf so that it's an accessible field. So people in wheelchairs, people with mobility issues will have a field where we can have programs and so forth for them. That's my goal for that field.
There's gotta be a grant to help with that.
And
Absolutely, absolutely.
But it's just numbers that we're aware of that are gonna come.
Correct.
exactly. The commission has no expectation all these things being done
Yes.
in the years that you see them either.
We got grants coming, so I can't wait.
I just have a quick question, Rachel. So you're saying that they're very old and it's an old, like those balance balls, right? So, and then you said, well, this other field, it's newer. At what point would you have to replace the whole system, or would it be feasible and?
So what happens with,
cost-effective?
what happens with, like, if you go up to DeSantis and Hunt, they're steel poles.
Yeah.
So you don't have to replace the pole, and what happens is they will replace the lights, and then with the new system, they actually on each light bring down the controls 10 feet off the ground. So if there's an issue with a
Got it.
light, you don't have to, right now, we have to bring in a bucket truck that has to go on the grass to go up to change the lights. So with the new system, it'll be easier. They just have to bring a step ladder, make a couple fixes, and it fixes what's way up top.
That's great.
So DeSantis and Hunt would be easier to replace. Freeburn would be more work because you'd actually be replacing the poles.
Got it.
Question, this is probably a question for Brad, but in total, are the programs profit making or break even, or are we losing money?
So some of Rachel's programs run at like the instructor gets paid a portion of the revenue brought in. So obviously those make money, right? Like camp a couple years ago when there was a problem, probably was losing money. But the Park and Rec Commission has worked really hard to look at what expenses can they cut out? Are we charging the right amount? So more and more that is like some stuff we run to break even, some stuff we make money on.
Like before and after care, we run to break even.
Yeah.
To provide a service to the town.
So the budget number for Park and Rec for revenue is $1,040,000 for this year. So if you compare the $1,040,000 to the 2.2, Park and Rec cost the taxpayers $1.2 million when you talk about like mill rate, right? Because not everything they do is revenue generating.
But then I think we've all decided, you know, regardless of political affiliation, that it's a value added department.
Absolutely. And necessary for some residents.
Absolutely.
We're good over here.
I think you guys are awesome, which you know. Just for clarity and explanation, I understand it, other people may not. Under office expense, you have music licensing.
Yeah.
I understand music licensing because I needed it for my business. Can you talk about what that is? I mean, $50 is like nothing, but
I mean, per the powers that be, we need music licensing and it covers the town. So it also covers the senior center when they're using any music. I think it's silly that you need it, but you need it. So they raised it $50 this year. So I just added that in there, and it's for any of our programs. Like when you take an adult program and she's playing something on the radio or her iPod, you know, the yoga instructor, the Zumba instructor downstairs is playing music. You need to have it licensed.
And Lisa split it with you?
Yes, you could.
Yeah.
Still coming out of the same pocket.
But you know, it's from a musician standpoint, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I get you.
Yeah, the musicians need to get paid.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is.
Yep,
Right.
minimal, but they need to get paid. I have another question.
Sure.
Can you talk about the increase in the medical training?
So
What does that entail?
So what we've done with camp, we've started getting more people first aid and CPR certified. We used to just do the supervisors, but you know, when you're going off site to trips or you're going down to a playground, we like to have more individuals that have first aid, CPR. We're getting a lot more kids that have EpiPens, so it's beneficial to have more people with EpiPen training, and EpiPen training is very easy. We have med admin, so we get all of our supervisors certified in med admin and a couple of extras. Not that we have a ton of kids that do take meds, and a lot of families try to schedule them prior to or after camp. And in the last couple of years, we've started actually getting a lot more diabetic kids, which was not the case, you know, when I started 20 years ago. And that's a lot more training. Unless we're able to get a nurse on staff, which you don't need, but we need to have our staff trained a certain way in order to be able to monitor the child and know what to do in those situations. So just an increase in that, because we just want to have more people, because there's just more kids within camp that just have issues that we need to be able to monitor.
Have you ever thought about offering CPR training throughout the town?
We used to, when we had an instructor, Eileen, my predecessor, was actually an instructor and used to. And I think at some point, maybe Tom offered it out to the town, because I think they did another one. Listen, if somebody came to me, like we always tell people, if somebody comes and they can they can instruct CPR and first aid and want to run the program, it's definitely something we could always do.
Thank you.
That was just that.
We're good.
Okay,
Worst one of the night.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you in a little bit.
Next up is our town clerk, 10-130. Oh, sorry, register of voters. I clicked. What's that? Oh, that's right. Hey, before you go, Rachel, come here a second. Before you guys run off, you want to make any comments regarding the Ventrac since you're still here, so you have to stay?
Yes.
Understanding. Sorry. Just real quick, if you
Okay.
want to make it this way we have you here.
This is on our agenda. Okay, so,
Yeah.
So, I know Nick's already given me an eye, so I'm just not gonna look your way. I'm not looking your way.
now.
So, we had I call it a cozy cab. It's a Groundmaster. It's a Toro vehicle that has a cab on it that we have a plow on and a snow blower. The last 2 years, it's broken down massively. We did get it back running for now, but it is a 2009. It's aged. And for my guys' safety, my guys' health, you know, we don't have the tools, I think, to maintain the areas that we have to maintain for snow in a timely fashion. I was just able to purchase a snow plow for one of our other machines that blows through the snow really fast. The 2-foot snowstorm, the cozy cab broke down. I had to get help from outside people to maintain the school sidewalks because I thought school would open the next day and we couldn't leave them unplowed, unshoveled. And Bethel Power was nice enough to loan us the machine that I'm actually asking for, which is a Ventrac stand-up machine. I don't even know the right name, because now I'm nervous because I know Nick's just staring at me. But our guys used it last year when the Groundmaster broke down over by the train station and had to sit there for 2 days during a storm. My guys like it. It's a good size. Parloa has guardrails up, so the machines that we can use there are limited. So that's a great size to use. And it blows through the snow. Our guys are comfortable on it. Listen, we probably won't get another snowstorm for the rest of the season, but I think it'd be a great tool for them to have in their pocket. It does also have a sweeping mechanism, so we could even use it after winter, get all the sand and all the gunk off the roads, off the sidewalks. I think it would be a benefit to my department, to my staff. I think because it's such a powerful machine, and we also got the other snow blower for the other Ventracs, I think that would also allow us to reduce the amount of people that we have come in. We have a lot of part-timers come in because we do a lot of shoveling, physical shoveling. We maintain, as Nick had mentioned before, we maintain the firehouses. We maintain here, we maintain the library, we maintain the train station, we maintain all of Whittlesley and all of Judd, which is about a mile of sidewalks within the school complex. And the last snowstorm, a lot of that was done by hand.
Is that because what you use now can't get the nooks and crannies that you have to get out the hand shovel?
I think no matter what,
Will this Ventrac be more
yes,
efficient?
it will be definitely more efficient because
Right.
it'll blow through the heavier stuff. They might not have to go out every 4 inches,
Right.
because they don't want to break their backs, kind of thing. So again, I think it would be a benefit to the department. I think it's a great tool to have moving forward, even for future in next winter. I think it's a beneficial tool with the added piece that I got for the other Ventracs that we have. I think it makes my guys, one, move safely, stay healthy, and maintain where we have to maintain well.
Any questions from James?
Yeah, question. So I definitely agree. We want to, we're buying something because we want to keep it in town. We want to buy from a local Bethel company. However, there's only one quote in here. So, I mean, shouldn't there be other
It's a
quotes as
state
well?
quote, it's a Sourcewell quote.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Got
Other
Great,
questions?
Rachel, I know we talked about this. I would support this, but I think instead of reacting, we need to do a better job maintaining things. This truck that we bought in 2015 doesn't know when his birthday is. This 2009 Toro doesn't know when his birthday is. It's all how you maintain something. I have 20-year-old trucks, and if you maintain them, I think you're doing a good job for the taxpayer. So if you need to have something else from the Board of Finance, I would totally support it. But you can't try to fix something in the middle of a storm. That machine you had a problem with the tracks coming off was because the tires were wore, and those tires should have been replaced, even if it was a couple $1,000s in November, not in January when there's 15-inch snowstorm. Okay, so that's all I would say. I'm going to support this because again, I watched you guys struggle on Parloa Park because of the size of it with the guardrail. I get it. Okay, I know. You know what I mean? You know, there's certain things that I know that other people. So I will support it, but I want to see a better maintenance program and not talk about the year. Talk about the hours, maybe.
And I don't disagree with you about maintenance.
Well, every time I hear an argument,
Yeah.
it's oh my God, it's 2015.
Yeah.
My
I just
boots
figure
are
people should
older
know
than
that.
Yeah.
They should just know that.
You're 100% right. It's
Yeah.
hours.
Of course,
Yeah.
run time.
Yep.
The police cars may only be 4 years old, but they may have 3,000 idle time or seat time or hinge
Yeah.
time, opening and closing the door. People don't realize that it's different uses. So
Across
I
the
would
board, we should be getting information about life cycles of big, these big cat items, like machinery and whatnot that has to be maintained. And that does seem to be kind of an issue. But in Rachel's defense, she's only been on the beat for a couple of years.
She's been part of the problem for years.
Oh, behind the scenes. Now she's out front.
So what happened to the old one? You're getting a new one, what's gonna happen to the old one?
That would depend. You guys approved the new truck that I'll get in April. The other truck will go to auction. So if we feel that this machine is no longer viable moving forward, it would probably go to auction whenever the town does an auction.
We're working on
Yeah.
it.
I've heard that for
You gotta get the snow to melt first.
Yeah, but that would probably be the plan unless we thought that we could keep it for another year and just keep it going. Because obviously
Yeah,
another
I would
machine,
support
I've got 4 guys,
See how much it is to fix
everybody could
it.
go in one, but it would really just depend on how it looked at the end of the winter season, which hopefully is semi over.
Pat, if you would accept the motion, I would make a motion that we approve this Ventrex to save these people some time tonight.
I'll second it.
Okay. we have
Coming
a
out of
first, we have a
CNR, not to
second.
exceed the number.
Not to
that-
exceed,
31 something.
$30,500 from CNR.
Yep.
We have a first, we have a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Wick the smile.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
See you later,
Thank you,
guys.
folks.
Thanks, guys.
Nick?
We appreciate it.
Start with that, Tim, you're next.
Thank you, guys.
Register a voter, 10-330. And Wendy, lady is with us. How are you?
Wendy Cahill and Jim Beagle. You probably don't know who. Tim's making me do the presentation this year.
Oh, you wanted to. Shit,
Yeah.
come on, Wendy.
Yes, yeah, I love it. Okay. So, the registrar's office is, basically 2 registrars, 2 deputy registrars, and between 60 and 70 certified election officials and poll workers that we basically, hire, train, and schedule up. What's next? We are, a relatively frugal department, I think. We have a very tiny budget. But despite that, we really try and keep within what is, what we really need, and oftentimes we are under budget. This year specifically, we are under budget. We're expecting to be under budget around a little over $11,000. And in addition to that, we have an early voting grant of $12,874.
And if I could just interject here too, is that a big part of our expected surplus from this year is that we budgeted for a municipal primary and there was no municipal primary. So that gets saved, but it comes back.
And it happens frequently, but this year we expect there will be a primary because midterms, and there's almost always a primary during midterms. With the addition of early voting, that's an additional 7 days that we're going to have to be funding. That, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
We were not funding.
You guys have anything on capital list?
Yes, 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 we'd like a truck with a plow.
Better office chairs, ergonomic office chairs.
To the new members, this account, they've been very transparent. They don't come in and just try to keep the same numbers. When they can cut the budget, they cut the budget. But when they need something, the Board of Finance is always giving it to them too, because again, it shows good behavior.
They love the registrars because they reuse paper, like they'll just fold it over and get that scrap paper.
Backside.
We love that.
So, yeah, so along those lines, then, last year, our budget request was 6% less than the year before. Because we were going from a presidential year
Right.
to this year that was a municipal year. And then going into next year, we have midterms, it's gonna cost a little bit more. And we never know how much we're going to get for, or if we're going to get a grant at all for early voting. And you know where the early voting grant comes from, our pockets, so, you know, it's just the difference whether it's gonna come out of your state income tax or your local property tax.
Yep. Any questions on my side?
Nope. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Appreciate
Wow.
it. Short and sweet. You're my favorite.
Favorite too.
I think it was the best.
So far.
Okay, next up, our town clerk,
Thank you.
10-130.
I have a
Handout.
quick handout. This is just my normal thing that I do every year. Revenue generating office. For my comparisons year to year. Yes, train station is on there. I manage the Metro North parking transfer as well. So this is just kind of like a talking point to show that, you know, over year, what the differences are and how we're basically increasing our revenue. Which, you know, I too am frugal. I don't ask for much in the way of increases unless it's absolutely necessary. And I've always run my household as I do my office. So there are just a couple of things, very minor increases that I'm asking for. Office supplies, you know, the cost of postage is not astronomical. It's really high. And so I've run short on that account the last, I think, 2 years. So that's the reason for behind that increase. Elections expense, you know, I piggyback with the registrar of voters. So I pay for the ballots and they pay for their moderators. And, you know, I do legal notices and the absentee ballots. I prepare the ballot. I make sure that it's accurate and then we go to print, etc. So signage, legal notices alone. Now I just ran 2 legal notices for the town committee members that were nominated and seated. It cost me $995 for 2 small legal notices about that big. So for that reason, I've asked for an increase in the elections expense account. Because we are having primaries this year. We are having a budget referendum. We are, you know, midterm elections, possibility of multiple budget referendums, hopefully not, one and done. First Selectmen had mentioned there might be another referendum at some point during this year. So we have to prepare for that and you know, propose those increases there. So dues and education. I have a brand new assistant town clerk and she is 2 classes shy of becoming certified. I stole her from Newtown and she's an assistant town clerk. So I lucked out there. I also have interviews we did all day today for a second assistant town clerk who moved within the building to a better position for her. So I'm in the middle of that. That would probably be somebody that's green and that we can train from the get-go. She or he'll have to go to the classes to become certified. So that's a win-win for the town clerk's office. And with that comes mileage expense. So I increased that $200 because I have 2 people going to classes and myself, I have to take advanced certification. I'm also I was the Fairfield County Vice President of the Town Clerks Association. I'm now state Vice President of the Town Clerks Association. So that means I have to go to several meetings out of town. So that mileage would play into that as well. Land records, I'm asking for an increase. The cost of supplies it's not only my main heartbeat of my office that runs the fee stations and the land records and all that, but it's also the cost of supplies. That would be archival paper, binders, and just everything that goes into my office. I run through this account. So that would be an increase of the cost of supplies. And then contracted services, we're reviewing all the ordinances this year, I believe. So I increased that for $1,000. We just did, general code is what I do the code book with. And it's also, we just printed, we're getting the charter printed and doing all the updates to the code book. So, and they're not cheap. So, and that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Good job.
That's it.
Yeah, Lisa.
That's it?
Yeah.
Right, you're
Oh,
always-
no, wait, no, Nick's here,
Come on, Nick,
so-
that was a good presentation.
Yeah.
You're having a good hair day.
I'm sorry, I'm hard of hearing, but thank
Okay.
you. Your salary is set by the Board of Finance, if I just remember right? It's not
Yes.
just done, right?
Yeah.
So I think, just for transparency, that we should talk about it during deliberations instead of doing it in August. So that's all I can ask.
Yeah, and then I appreciate the increase that you gave me last year. I was given an increase. I was the lowest paid Fairfield County town clerk in the state. Like,
So we're getting a good deal. Thanks.
Yeah, and-
No, I'm not
yeah,
done.
And you made that point.
So I'm not done.
You made that point.
So cost of living, I would appreciate, and that's all I'm gonna do. All right, thank you so
Everybody-
much.
Thank you.
Did I come in a good score?
Yes, very good.
Thank you. No, it was good, Lee.
I feel like this is the Olympics.
Yes, now we're moving, now we're moving.
I will be playing the part of Elizabeth Hurt, also known as Izzy, because she's home recovering. She asked me to step it into her budget. So there's 2 changes in her budget. So
What budget is that?
sorry,
1040.
10-140.
Oh.
The next page.
I get a chance to call him out.
Oh,
You just
sorry.
You just jumped in there.
Sorry, I get excited.
I'm like, what the hell what's he doing?
He's in the hot chair now. Izzy needs to do something with her hair, though.
So
You know, we're gonna get some AI going. I'm gonna get nice pictures.
Oh, no.
There we go.
all right, so for contracted services, the vendor that they use, there's an increase in $640 budget increase. The other the salary line increase. So just a reminder, Board of Finance members have been here for a little bit, and the Board of Selectmen members and the new ones. So some of the departments have union members. So last year, the clerical union and the police union were both up, and library, but they budget separately. Their contracts were up 630.25. So in the 25-26 budget, there was no increase in their accounts for them. We have a department we'll talk about later tonight called as a wage adjustment account. So when it looks like a 4% increase, it's because 2 of the 3 members or employees in this department, it's 2 years worth of raises. So the wage adjustment account, we'll talk about that later, but that's why it looks out of line. So that's really it for the department. And there is one capital item for assessors on. One capital item is every 5 years, we have to do a revaluation. That is due in 26-27. They have to start it. So on the capital plan is $300,000. If you look out 5 years, 31-32, you'll notice the one out 5 years is less money. Every 10 years, you have to do a full revaluation where you have to value every property. And then in the 5 years off of that, you do what they call, I think they call it a short reval. so the one that we have to do in 26, 27 is the full reval. It typically runs in the $300,000 to $320,000 range. It'll go out to bid. Last time we bid it, we got one bidder for it. So that is on the capital plan that we'll have to fund at some point.
And that rebound takes place at 27, 28.
You start at
Those
26,
numbers?
27. Yeah.
It starts, but it gets enacted.
I think when we're sitting here next year, will be
The last one was in 22,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah.
5 years, so it's
So.
27.
Yeah, so it's a 27 grand list, right?
27 grand list, but that's like is it the 28 or the 29 budget year? It's always
28 budget year,
Yeah.
right? 27 grand list.
Because it's always based on 10/1. The value is October 1st, sorry. So
Here again.
Okay,
any questions on assessor's office?
thank you, Izzy.
No problem.
Thank you.
I'll be back later.
All right. Paul, you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Tax collector, account 150.
Let's see if I can make this short and sweet, right? Well, sure, tax collector. If you don't know my office, I have an assistant and 2 clerks. For the budget, the only thing we went up on is our envelopes for our mailings. And then, the legal notices just to budget out the cost for what I have been paying for the legal notices. I do have my assistant, myself, my assistant, and a clerk are all certified. So all 3 of us all need credits to be recertified when our times are up. So I did increase the conferences, $300 because I do have to send 3 of us now. Obviously 2 at a time. I'm not leaving 1 person in our office to handle everything. So that's mainly it on my budget.
Beautiful.
Questions?
So just
No,
for
we're
new
good
members
on
that
that.
don't know, I know I'm trying to breeze through it, but so 20%, so there's 4 people that work in Paula's office. 20% of each one of their salary gets charged to water, 20% of each person's salary gets charged to sewer. Because they do the tax collection and the sewer and water usage and the sewer assessment collection. So this looks like a low number for 4 people. It's because this represents 60% of the salary because the sewer and water departments pay the other 20% each.
Okay.
So just so if you go look at it, you can go like that something doesn't add right for 4 people, that's why.
I also have the 2 part-time.
2 part-timers, yeah.
Paul, I gotta say something. You guys can clear a check like nobody else in this house.
I think that.
That check clear, like my girls, I didn't know she wrote it and it's clear.
We scan the checks. We
Oh,
usually,
okay, good.
like, they go right to the bank. So, usually it's depending
Very
on
efficient.
timing of the deposits, really. So, but thank you. We try to be efficient with our money.
You gotta make that interest, Nick.
Huh?
You gotta make interest.
Oh, right, oh, yeah. Really good.
I'm all about getting that money to the bank.
I
Come on
got
now.
it, I got it.
Thanks, Paula.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Next up is economic development, 10-105.
I'm Janice Christianic. I am the Director of Economic Development. I support our existing 1,400 businesses, any prospective businesses, investors, and commercial development. I'm also responsible for business attraction, growth and retention, downtown vitality, and any redevelopment, marketing, visibility and tourism, community and economic events, and leveraging any partnerships. My budget has not changed from last year outside of the salary. So I have $500 in office expenses, dues and education, $1,500, mileage, $500, and contracted services, which is $5,000. And those contracted services last year and this year go to marketing efforts, which have been our priority over the past couple of years. Last year with that money, we developed 2 videos, one for economic development that is really geared towards site selectors and attracting new businesses. And the other is quality of life. We're in the process of releasing the economic development one. But at the same time, we are going through a branding strategy for the town. Once that branding strategy is locked down, then we'll be able to release those videos, and we're looking to create a community website. So, any question?
Questions? Yeah.
Best presentation by far.
Yeah.
What does longevity under salaries?
Better than yours, Brett.
So longevity, so employees hired before a certain date, when they hit certain milestones, for like Janice is a non-union employee, so non-union employees, when they hit 10 years a year, they get $200 for a longevity payment that every July.
Yeah, it's just you're sticking it out, you know, and you're there. It's like, I got my 200.
It's not a gold watch.
I was just gonna say.
No, anybody else? Will?
In the past, years ago, we had the Bethel Business Park.
Our
paid a
business
portion
card.
of it.
Yep.
Is it now, town is paying your full salary now?
Yes.
If you remember, just for the newer members, this account, Janice's salary and some other stuff was mixed in with the selectmen. And Dan and I thought it was better, more transparent to let everybody see what's going on. And we made an account, I believe it was last year.
Yeah.
Right, Dan, was it last year?
2025 was the first year we budgeted for EDC.
So everything just stands on its own, so everybody can just see what every part of it is. So. And Janice, you know, I've been around town for a couple of years. I like the little things that you're doing. You know what I mean? It feels homey. So I do appreciate it.
Well, and I'll leave a handout here. I didn't want to go through everything that I've done, but it outlines our activities in 2025 and our priorities for 2026. So I'll leave it with Mary if you want to grab that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks.
All right, so next up we have Mercy Management, Tom Galliford, account 2290. I believe Tom's online.
I am. Can everybody hear me?
Hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, sorry to be there in person, but I didn't want to infect anybody with a horrible respiratory infection here, so I'm staying in my room. So yes, Tom Galliford, I think I met most of you a few weeks ago at another finance meeting, but account 290 is the emergency management account. Basically, the Office of Emergency Management is responsible for maintaining the emergency operations plan for the town of Bethel. You know, kind of acting as a liaison for any large scale emergencies that happen within town, kind of act as a liaison with the police and fire department. So since 2008, we actually have through different federal disasters that have happened. I kind of handle all the reimbursements, and we've collected over $1.6 million in FEMA reimbursement since 2008 for various storms and events, disasters that have happened. So nothing's really changed with the budget. There's a slight increase for the tower lease, which is the radio tower at Spring Hill. It basically is the radio tower in a concrete box that has radio equipment for police, fire, EMS, and public works. Each department used to pay their own portion of that rental. Then many years ago, we combined it into one budget item, which made a little more sense. And that's a contract we have to lease that space and the equipment on the radio tower. And part of that contract is a 5-year increase every year of the cost of that. So that's what that $1,500 increase is there for that. Other than that, nothing really changes in that budget. So I don't know if there's any questions.
Just so the boards know that don't know, so Tom is the fire marshal and emergency management director. So his salary is split between. So when it says full-time and it's 13,600 in the budget, that's the emergency management portion of Tom.
Okay.
And then on the next page, when he talks fire marshal, the one full-timer is still Tom. So it's those
Still
two
me.
combined. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Any questions from the Board of Finance? No?
Selectmen? Anybody? Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Hey, Tom, welcome back.
Welcome back. Thank you.
20-300. How you holding up there? You doing all right?
So far, so good.
Okay.
All right. So a little bit of a change here in salaries for the fire marshal account. We added, I think the Board of Finance recently approved some monies for this year budget. through the Board of Selectmen and the Fire Commission about adding a part-time fire administrator position to help oversee the fire departments as far as with the chiefs and with paperwork and budgeting and invoicing. So that position just started about a month ago. So that we're looking to continue having that as a part-time position for next year as well. And that's the, I think the third line item there, the 35,870. And then other change really is just, we're coming up on a new code cycle. So all the, state fire and building codes are going to be, changing again this year. They try to adopt the latest standards. So there may be some costs associated with purchasing new code books, for that as well. We've used a lot of online subscriptions for codes, but there's some of them that are not available online. So we have to purchase the hard copy of those. And that's the biggest, that's about it. I don't know if there's any questions.
Any question for us?
Questions?
Will? The third line for the salary says part-time employee new, 26, 27. So we're getting 2 part-time employees or?
No, so it's new to the budget. So the Board of Finance in November approved the budget transfer to fund the position from January 1 of 26 to June 30th. Now we have the budget for it. So I think the Board of Finance moved like $20,000 in the current year. And then the salary for the next year, because it's a part-time position, is that just under 36 numbers. So the position's currently filled. It's the person that left the town clerk's office.
Well, the way it looks, it's good. We're going to be paying $70,000 for a part-time employee.
No, it's so that's no, it's the one full year of that part-time position is 35,870.
Right, and the other part-time, it says part-time employees too. Those are for deputy fire marshals that are currently working and have been in the budget for a part-time fire marshal. One is 20 hours a week, and we're working on getting the other one to about 8 hours a week. So that's been there.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Okay.
Good.
Thanks so much.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, Bethel Fire Department, account 2310.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. We have a very small budget. The fire department budget for this past year was approximately $215,502. The requested amount was to $231,867. There was a substantial reduction in some of our areas where I felt we were able to cut back a little bit. Unfortunately, some of that had to do with reduced personnel. I hoped that I was going to get 10 new people on the fire side this year. Unfortunately, it's down to 6. So we would have had to have purchased 5 new sets of full turnout gear for those people. That alone would have been $21,000. So we dropped it back to 6 people. So, that's making a little bit of a difference in terms of what we normally would have gone to. And that's one of the bigger items. But just to give you a quick overview of the other items that are in there, a lot of it has to do with the increased construction in town and the size of the buildings, both in terms of square footage and height. And as a result, maintaining a safe fire attack on these buildings, and God forbid we do get a fire in these places, and we do. An example being myself and Chief Evanuska going out to the Duracell building, and we get regular calls out there for a variety of different things. And going through that very, very large building makes it very difficult to maintain a safe working environment. So some of the things that you see in here are devices that will help us maintain that. One of them is called a pack tracker. The air packs now emit a radio signal that can be tracked electronically. As you go to look for these lost people, God forbid, what this device does is it reacts to the proximity of that downed firefighter. It gives you a visual identifies who it is, because the air packs have built-in identification numbers. As you get closer, it has an increase in the sound sensing device, and it also has a visual on a lighting, scale of 1 to 10. So the closer you get, the louder the alarm goes off, the scale goes closer to 10, and, the number gets brighter. So it helps you locate people. It's something we should have had in place a long time ago. This coincided with the recent delivery of a dozen air packs that we had actually ordered in 2021. But due to COVID and the technological backlog for the components for those air packs, they just got delivered a couple of months ago.
But these aren't in your operating budget, they're CNR, right? These packs, they're not in your operating budget.
Right.
Well, I think what Cynthia, Brad walked out, Dan, it says on capital 8 plant, but it's not in the capital, it's in their operating budget.
So
No,
what we,
it's not.
yeah, so what we did is we went through this, Brad and I annotated this to move this to CNR
Right.
in the beginning of the year, not put it in the operating budget.
Right, so then.
But if it's a yearly thing, why would it be
It's
in
not.
a?
This is really a one-time capital thing. The Scott Pack tracker and the chargers is a
Oh,
capital
I
item.
think Cynthia was talking about turnout.
No,
No,
I was
we're
also
talking
talking
about
about what's.
the Scott Pack
Yeah, the
tracker,
Pack trackers and the magic chargers.
It's a one
Yeah.
time.
It says referred to CNR, so that's why.
Turnout is still in the budget. It just was decreased $10,000. That's what he was saying. And the other thing that was added was they needed the Scott 3000 high temp face masks, which
Correct.
are in here. By the way, that could be something down the line we put in capital non-current too. I know traditionally it's a lot of fire stuff to do
Is
that.
that a one-time purchase?
It is. And the reason being, we had to upgrade all of our masks. We were not compliant with, having all the newer masks. They're basically, the old ones are called, AV 2000s. And, it was the construction and the heat resistance was much lower. The newer ones, have double seals, easier to speak through. They're higher rated for what we call CBRNE, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and etiological. So you can also put filtration devices on the front that you could use for different types of chemical or medical.
So once we buy them, they're
Right.
what?
And as you know, we have some pretty substantial chemical facilities here in town. Vanderbilt, there's still a big R&D operation over there at Duracell. And then the other thing that we found out too is that what goes on down at Shepherd's Warehouse. You know, we had a bad fire there about a year and a half ago, and there's a gentleman that makes boats, makes motors for boats, but he makes them out of electronic components, and he has a very, very large amount of stock there with lithium ion and lithium iron batteries, and they caught fire one night, and it was quite a fire. And so, as you know, those lithium ion fires now require such a high level of technical expertise, not only to fight, but to confine and eventually extinguish. So, you know, we need to hire safety of those newer air masks to make sure that everybody has access to that. And unfortunately, I hate to go to this, but it's an ocean thing. You know, we have to upgrade. There's so much in our budget. We've talked about this in the past that the requirements come from outside. They're not things that we, anticipate, but they come. And as you just heard Chief Galliford say, changes in the codes that are coming. He's going to end up buying a lot of stuff, books, online things. And then what Chief Galliford does also for us firefighters is he will run classes to bring us up to date. So we share a lot of that information. So it's money well spent. I just plug in on behalf of Tom. They'll probably do 3 or 4 classes here for the fire department. And all the stuff that we're referencing here kind of ties in together. We'll see why we need the upgraded equipment based on the code changes, which ultimately will have an effect on construction, the size, the complexity of the buildings, etc.
Bill, when you said you're not in compliance now because the standards changed. Right. So it's not like when you bought the mask, they were out of compliance.
No.
I just want to make that point.
This
That
is
like,
and
yeah.
Nick brought this up. This is the last group that I need to bring it up to.
Yeah.
So anybody that's certified to wear an air pack or firefighter one people will now have one of these masks. So
Any questions on the board of selectmen side?
Yeah, I just have a question. This is more terminology. What is first due?
First due is the new, computer system that we use to, track all of our fire calls. Was implemented in the past year. There's been a learning curve. I just went to my 4th seminar, which is tough because we are all volunteers. Probably the best one I went to, but I had to travel around the state depending on where they were hosting these classes. So what we did is we went from an old system called NFIRS, National Fire Incident Reporting System, to a new system called NERIS, National Emergency Reporting System. And what we have to do is upgrade how we record and report data on fire responses. They claim it is simplified. That's the furthest thing from the truth. And so not only do the officers have to be, enter into that learning curve for this certified, then the people within the fire company, they enter that information into our system, which goes to the state fire marshal, and then it goes to national. We have to train those people as well. So it involves a lot of work. It's put a lot of hours into it. I'm very fortunate that I've had about 4 or 5 people in the house, volunteers, that agreed to learn that system. And some of them come in and spend 2 full days a week entering that data. So that's what that first due is. The first due is at 3 levels. You could buy the bargain basement program, you could buy a medium one, and you could buy the Cadillac. So you could buy the bottom one and then buy Cadillac components as you need them. And we're kind of in that phase, and that saved a lot of money. So, but that was done through the fire marshal.
Let me jump in real quick. So you understand there's going to be a first due bill on both departments. So both departments pay fees and the town pays a piece.
Right.
So you'll see it in 3 places.
Yeah, it's split 3 ways, the 2 departments of the fire marshal.
And so you also understand too, it's an application that the firemen will have on their phone. And so they can actually see where they're going to be dispatched, and it gives them information on their
That's
phone as
another,
well.
that's another component.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Any questions on this?
Yeah, Chief,
Nick
I'm
and then
sorry.
James. Go ahead, Nick,
I'm
and then James.
I see, if I'm wrong, your account's up 7.5%, right, over last year? Okay, but we took out the turnout gear, is that right, Mr. First Selectman? The turnout gear is in this or not in it?
There is turnout gear, but
It's a
10,000.
10,000 less per day requested. Last year was 45, this year is 35.
So 35's in this number?
Yes.
And on the capital plan, you'll see turnout gear 8 sets per year, and then it quotes as an operating budget. So
that's what I'm confused.
At some point, the fire commission gave us a list of like what the projected is and what they're doing. So that's what it shows up on there because it gave us that information. But I did put the note in there that says it's currently in the operating budget.
As of now, it's going to stay in the operating budget.
Correct, because they have, if you look at it, when they pay the same 40 and it goes up every year by $1,000 or so, it's not really a non-recurring thing.
Right.
They need to buy so many.
What was their actual last year?
They spent 210 altogether.
Oh, on turnout
Just
gear.
turnout gear.
No, it's all of it.
That's everything. Yeah,
That's
I'm
everything.
trying to pull up.
Yeah. The other items, if you take a look at the budget details, even though they had a reduction in the turnout gear, there was an increase for the Scott masks, and also to what the chief was saying in the very beginning, which I thought you might go to. There's a lot more, with the higher buildings and the ladder trucks and all this stuff. They actually have now, they've added money for the rescue harnesses and bailout kits, and the pagers are on here too. But that was a little bit of an increase. That's why you see a 15% increase in equipment and supplies.
I assume the vendor High Tech Fire and Safety is the turnout gear.
Yes, it is.
38,614 was what we paid last year.
And that's on a bid. We bid our stuff out.
I'm sorry, Chief, what is
We
it?
bid our turnout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have a state bid on that?
Say again?
They don't have a state contract on that?
No. You know who does, though? The different planning regions have it.
Really?
Like capital region.
Well, let's spend money to
They've been
Westfall.
doing it for years up there.
Let's do it to
Yeah,
Westfall.
I'm a big regionalization guy. They put something together on Western Connecticut. I think it would benefit us, but
Right.
that's your.
Well, we could buy through the capital region. We could actually, they have the purchasing group. but-
What we do by going through high tech is we get the New York State discount. And prior to the New York State discount, we bought it through the Massachusetts program. And The New York one this past year ended up being a little bit less than Massachusetts. So we moved to high tech in Long Island from Northeast Rescue Systems up in Boston.
Let's have purchasing take a look at that.
We call around for it. And
James, did you have a question?
I did, yeah, about the masks. This is a two-part question. What is the useful life of these masks, and how often, on average, would you say the code changes which would render them non-compliant?
Okay, National Fire Protection Association, and the Department of Transportation and NIOSH and OSHA all have time frames, but the turnout gear especially has a 10-year window. The air packs depends on when the NFPA changes their standards. That on the air packs and turnout gear is about every 5 years. The air packs themselves usually get a good 10, 12 years out each one before there's a substantial change. First Selectmen knows those 12 air packs we got, they replaced 35-year-old air packs.
And
what we did was we upgraded them as far as we could, and then couldn't go any further.
So, and with the turnout gear, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, it's good for interior firefighters rated for that time. And what do you do with it when it's not rated for an interior anymore?
If it still appears to be functional stuff, we can use it for our cadets and for our probationary members until the point in time when you become interior firefighters. So, we'll get another year or two out of the set after the 10 years. What we do is we have an outside vendor that we bring in from Long Island, who comes in and repairs our gear annually. And I cannot tell you how much money we save since we use it, both myself and Chief Evan used to use it. They're great. Their prices are very low. They know all the different brands that turn out gear. They come here, they bring a portable truck up here, they spend a day, and between name tags, tears, rips, all that kind of thing. Last year, I think we hit about 60 sets a year had repair done, and the bill was like $4,300. Because they're certified sewers, so they have big machines in the back of their truck. They sew right on site. It's great.
Good to know. Thank you.
I know that we've been talking about the retention program. We've not approved that yet, but they currently have a retention program. Where is that reflected in this budget?
So
how will the new increase be reflected?
So there's two different programs for firefighters. There's a tax abatement, which is still an active program. That shows up in the reduction of taxes, right? So it shows up in the tax account, right? Our revenue side is reduced because we turn around and give that money. We have to cut them checks because we can't actually abate it anymore. So like if Bill's a bad example, he doesn't get it because he doesn't live in town. But like, say Bill had a $500 car bill and he qualified for $500 and he pays his car bill and then we cut it all at the same time of year, but we cut him a check for $500. So that's in the tax revenue piece. The other program, which is a closed program, it's called LOSAP, Length of Service Award Program for firefighters. That's been closed for 15 years now to new members, but you will see that when we're doing the benefits line, employee benefits.
It's also worth mentioning that you remember the Board of Selectmen had approved $100,000 for this. I think you were going towards that. It was kicked back by the Board of Finance because we're actually working out the details with the chiefs and the fire commission as how we're going to administer it, because they were looking more towards doing more of the tax abatement and raising it, which we can do by ordinance and by statute. So we should have something soon, but I think we're still hashing out just the requirements.
So when we do hash that out and we'll approve that shows, excuse me, that shows up under the tax abatement like Brad just described.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll say, in conclusion, I would just like to say, remember that unlike many of the other people that testified here tonight, to both the Selectmen and Board of Finance, even before we got here tonight, we worked very closely with the Board of Fire Commissioners. So there's a microscopic scrutiny of our budget before we even get here. So what you see here is the end result of an awful lot of work. And then it obviously comes to you. So we deal with an added layer of scrutiny. And it takes a lot of time. Again, we're all volunteers. to put this together. And, you know, a lot of the people that have served on our board of fire commissioners are past members, past chiefs. They understand what we requested here. And this is the result of, and I'm sure Doug's budget as well, of a lot of scrutiny by people who've been in the business for a long time. So we're at the bottom of the ladder right here, okay? That's it.
Did you have a question, Nick?
Well, it's more of a statement, and Chief, and it goes for Doug also. The service you guys provide to the town is incredible. Okay, it saves us $6+ million a year, just so everybody knows. It's incredible. I want to, and I think I support it, but I want to make sure we can give you everything that we can possibly give you to keep the guys safe, the retention, but it comes with accountability also.
Absolutely.
You know, it's real taxpayer money that we charge these old ladies, and they have real choices. Well, excuse me, they have real choices to make in life, and that's when I have a problem when I see waste and things that aren't run properly. But I just want to make sure you tighten it up, because that's where I get my problems, when people's tax money is not being used for the most beneficial of the town.
No, I understand fully what you're saying. You know, I wear a similar hat in a different town as you do. And when we go out the door, those same people that you're concerned with, we serve every day. And we give them 100%, 101% at no cost. And that goes for both fire and EMS. EMS are basically, if they have insurance, they'll get billed. But just remember that between myself and Stony Hill, we did 4,000 plus calls last year. All right. And we have a contract company during the day, second, third ambulance calls, evenings, nights, weekends, holidays. It's all volunteer. And so even if we run out of ambulances during the day, we're jumping on our personal cars and first responding till we get a mutual aid ambulance in. But I also said this, that remember, if we go out of town, we provide a lot of mutual aid, and on a proportional basis, we give, in some cases, 10 times more than we get back. And I'm proud to say this, I say it all the time, because we get out. We get out. They call Bethel, we're out the door. No hesitation. There was Stony Hill or Bethel. And all of our surrounding towns know that, and they rely on us. And I obviously hope that they'll return that favor. So,
They also had capital items. I don't know if anybody had any questions about those. But like I said earlier, all those would come back through the Board of Selectmen to the Board of Finance, any that we're gonna get approved.
okay.
Thank
you very much for your time. It's much appreciated.
We appreciate your service.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Stony Hill's in the house, 20-320.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. I'm Chief Administrator of Stony Hill. I think a lot of our changes in our budget is just some hose, and unlike Billy, we have 9 new members that are currently in a Fire 1 class that we are holding, and we're coming to the end of that class where we have to purchase them new turnout gear, and that's one of the largest raises in the budget here. Other than that, it stayed pretty much the same as last year.
Any questions?
Question, Nick?
Doug, you know, I see things differently than a lot of people. Last year, you said you needed turnout gear, and we made sure we gave you money for turnout gear. And did you use all that money for turnout gear, or did you buy something else?
No, and I knew, no, I didn't.
Okay, so when you come to us and Chief Bill comes to us and said, we need this stuff, but then you use the money for other things?
What did you see?
The fiberglass cap, the $5,000 cap. What I'm saying is he needed a turnout gear last year. He's saying he needs it this year, but we used the money last year for something else. So that's just my rub. When you lose credibility about that. I'm gonna give you everything you need, but when you use it for other things, I have a problem with that.
I have 9 individuals in a Fire 1 class that are gonna need turnout gear this year. And plus we had, just have 3 people that just joined, one of them being an already certified fireman who we're gonna find gear for. But that's one of the,
And why did we need all the turnout gear if we didn't buy them last year?
what's that?
Why didn't we use all their turnout gear money last year? We bought a cap
We bought it
for the back of a truck.
Yes.
Did something change? Did people didn't graduate from a fire class or
No, we
something?
didn't, we had it left over, that money left over, we didn't use it for turnout gear.
If you didn't use the return on gear, why didn't you return it to the town?
Well, that's
Well,
kind
we
of,
did, we gave money back also to the town.
but it would have been more money, right?
Is
Yes,
that,
it would've been
Brad,
more.
is that right? They put it back.
Trying to beat you to the question.
You see, when you give money back, it's kind of like scraping off a plate after you not finished everything, because it doesn't really.
Can I
go
just make a
back.
point? And I understand some people's frustration. But a lot of these numbers are placeholders. You know, I'm responsible for 17 locations. I can't tell you to a nickel what I'm gonna spend on, a plumber this year. I just kind of give it my best guess. So, I understand what Nick's saying, and I agree with Nick. If you're gonna ask for something, be as close to the number. But in fairness as well, it's equipment and maintenance, and a lot of this stuff is placeholders. So you're looking at it as a total package that, hey, this year I think I'm gonna spend 50,000 on equipment. So again, if you're over on your turnout gear every year, you should reduce the number and put what you're actually gonna spend it on. I think that's the point. But, that's all I wanted to say is because, on the police department, we did that as well. I would have an idea what I needed, but, if 3 people quit and you don't spend money on 3 sets of turnout gears, that's no fault of the chiefs. I mean, if the issue is he should come and say, hey, I'm buying this,
Is
I
that
get
what
it.
happened? Is that
But
what
that's,
happened?
no,
Three
that's,
quit?
that's like not what he's not saying that. It's not about the numbers and everything. It's a specific thing that happened.
That's what I'm saying. That
And I
just,
would have been okay buying the 3 and hanging them in the closet for future use. They're not gonna go bad, right?
When you start the clock,
They go bad, okay, so they'll give the money back. And then they'll be glad to give it back to you.
So
See, what problem really comes down to is money left over should come back. And if you need a fiberglass cap, come and ask for it.
I did ask.
Yeah, we've been on.
And then we would authorize it. It wouldn't be this
Well, that
rotting
wasn't
period to pay.
The Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance said no, but
Right.
they found other ways to go out and buy it.
When we said no, then you still buy it, and it's a problem.
That's just accountability.
Jessica has a question.
So the cap that you purchased,
Yes,
you need it.
yes.
And can you explain it a little bit, just for?
It was a cap for the back of my pickup truck, which in the back of my pickup truck is all my turnout gear. We had a command box that we put in the back of the pickup truck. And in order to put it in the back of the pickup truck, we needed to cover it. The truck was ordered with a tonneau cover and not a cap to originally begin with. So we put the cap on it to put the command box in the back to put all my turnout gear in there. So it's easier and makes it neater and more organized to work with.
So it is
Yes.
in regards to turnout gear.
Well,
a
it's just,
different-
it's where all the equipment is and everything. It just makes it all organized and neater to
Yeah.
use.
So you're using it for the turnout gear.
Yeah, use it, yes.
And just for the record, when he says my truck, he's talking about the chief,
Yeah.
Stony Hill chief.
Oh, yeah.
Did you find out if they gave money back?
So last year, they were $610 over budget. The year before that, Stony Hill was 6,000 under. The year before that, they were almost $11,000 under.
So that means they gave all that way back. to the
So-
general fund?
The last year in 25 that you see on your prior year, they were over by 610. So the year before that, they gave back 6,000. The year before that, they gave back almost 11.
I don't think that's a good thing.
Well, but it's, some of it is
Seriously,
like,
it doesn't go back to the people.
Well, if you
It goes
notice, the
back
budget's
into
been
a
getting
fund.
better.
Huh?
Yeah, it's been getting better.
Okay.
It was 11,000, then it was 6,000, then they were,
and the year
$600
those-
over, it's not the end of the world.
the year they were $11,000 under budget, they were 12, almost 13,000 under budget in vehicle maintenance. So that one
Okay.
is like, that one is gonna vary based on the needs of what happens with the equipment.
And right now, we're looking at possibly trying to see if we can get it repaired before we have to, is a $3,000 radiator for engine one. The top of
The what,
the
3,000?
radiator in the truck, the antifreeze radiator has a crack in the
In what
top.
truck?
In engine one.
Oh, I missed that part.
And I'm trying to get it repaired versus buying a new radiator, which is gonna be very, coming out of the budget, it's gonna be
Right.
expensive.
Oh, Karen, so we took money from the taxpayers to buy turnout gear and you spent it on a truck cover. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, whether it's needed or not, it's not what we took money from the taxpayers for. So there's a trust issue. And to Brian's point about, I don't know where all of my money is going to get spent, but I know how much is going to get spent. I don't quite agree with that because I'm expecting you and every other department to tell me where you're going to spend this money so that we can decide whether we're going to give it to you or not. If you don't know where it's going, then let's figure out how to say that and make it a bigger category or something. I don't know.
But it's not realistic. It's not realistic. He doesn't know he doesn't know how many blown tires he's gonna have. He doesn't know how many times he's gonna have something break responding to a call. When you deal with facilities or you deal with budgets like this, you give a best guess where you're gonna be at the end of the year. You can't pinpoint everything you're spending money on. And you know what? I'm not saying it's right to pad a budget, and I don't think they do pad a budget. The right thing to do would have been to say, hey, look, I think I'm gonna have 5,000 left over. Can I spend it on the
That's
cap?
it. That's all.
But what I'm saying is, well, I'm not here conducting a trial.
They don't-
I'm just trying to explain that. If you want to say it's wrong that they bought the cap without coming to you, I'll agree with you. But what I'm saying is, when you look at these budgets, let's be fair and say, this is best guess on a lot of things. And if there's money left over, yes, they should come and say, hey, we have this money left over. We want to buy this item that we feel that we need. But I don't think it's fair to say that,
And
you know,
just to be
these guys
clear-
need
All
to
I'm
be.
asking for is best guess.
And just
I
to
like the way
be,
you
and
said
just to be
that's-
clear, we're not talking about one big account where a radiator repair or a hose. We're talking turnout gear. It specifically says turnout gear.
I understand.
That's my rub. If it came out of somewhere else that they had extra money, great.
Where did it come out of?
Turnout gear.
gear.
I mean, where should a truck cover come out of?
Not turnout gear.
Right, I know that, but
That's all.
where it should be.
But how did it come out of, with all the other things in that account?
Well, it came out of the 5202.
Right.
Underspent on turnout gear, so we
Right.
needed the money.
Okay.
I have just one question for you, Chief, because I honestly don't think I know the answer. Did the fire commission approve the cap?
Yes, they did.
My problem is we meet at least 12 times a year.
But it's not, here, I'm gonna say this though, it's not your purview to go through every little budget item.
No, we know
Once,
that.
no, but I'm just saying, with this cap situation, you know, you could have said it could have come out of anything else on it, anything out of equipment.
It would have been much better than turnout gear. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's all under the same account. Where did this become just turnout gear was the thing that, is it because it was
That
just
the
enough? That was
conversation between me and-
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's fair to like
No,
saddle around their neck like this is like somehow they've done something that.
I got this from
They've taken-
Chief Doug
yeah.
here. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I only went on what I was given to me.
Yes, it does.
It protects the gear, so it's gonna last long.
Let me make one.
It was a
final
smart
point.
buy.
If this
Yeah,
truck,
to me, yeah.
if this truck was ordered with a fireman ordering it, it would have came with a cap from the beginning. We wouldn't even be having.
Well,
this.
Right, that's a good point. But
I
I'm
think
saying
the
it's
fire
going to
commission are allowed to
prolong.
do it at the lights.
There was,
Prolong
listen,
here, so
let's
in
move
my
on, please,
opinion-
because
I
there was a
have
lot
a
of story
yes,
behind
sorry.
this
Yeah, yeah.
incident with the truck.
Right. So I have a new question.
Accountability, that's all I'm talking about.
Oh, excuse me. My question is related to how are the two departments different? In particular, when I look at professional services, one department has just an employee assistance program, an annual OSHA. The other department has Comcast, behavioral health. First Due is under that one, computer and technology services under there. Is that the only department that has those things?
So just a little backstory in the fire department. So probably about 8 or 9 years ago, we worked on trying to like put them in the same, like, they used to have all different kinds of accounts. So we've been streamlining to try to get them to look kind of similar so they're easier to compare. So that is just a little bit of like what's been happening, and when the fire commission gets involved and they move stuff around too. But there still are differences in how they budget some stuff. Like the Comcast, one department might have it broken out in a single line. The other might have it lumped in with something else. So they are still independent houses, even though they both go to the fire commission. So that is one of the things that the fire commission is constantly working on when they're looking at their budgets. So
It's also worth mentioning with this other person that we just hired, who just started. This is part of the idea, is that they're gonna help administratively with all this, trying to get things more standardized between the two. Same thing with like where they do the track of the medicals and all that sort of stuff. It's an opportunity to help them standardize things between the two departments. And she just started, so it's gonna take some time.
Okay, so the answer I'm hearing is those things
Yeah.
probably exist on another line.
yes, there's a lot of that there's, because we try to give a detailed budget, but not 700 pages for one department because they spend $20 in staples, so that is like, we try to lump stuff together.
Right.
Because if it was the tax collector's office and the tax assessor's office and they lump stuff together, it wouldn't seem so odd because they feel different. Because they're both fire departments, it feels like they should be more uniform, but they are still run by two separate chiefs.
Right, I mean, my naive view is that they both do the same thing with the same equipment, the same training. So I don't understand why they should be different.
We don't have,
I'm not
Comcast-
asking
we
for
don't
this.
have Comcast at Stony Hill.
Yeah.
You guys have Roku.
So, but
Yeah, we use all
Yeah.
streaming.
You have television streaming repair.
Yeah.
So they do run independently of each other though. So like they each, like Stony Hill does things one way, Bethel does things, and it's way better than it's ever been.
It's
I
great.
will say that,
think
I've been here 15 years. It is, the relationship between the two
I would
houses
agree with that.
is the best I've ever seen.
It's getting better.
I think,
I will
but I will
They
tell-
still like pepperoni sausage pizza, but they can't get it.
I think that, what you're saying is that, the thing is, all we ever wanted them to do is maybe buy paper from the same source as a big
Right.
order. That's all we ever talked about. It wasn't like, you have to do this. It's just like, could you combine your efforts, and if you're getting a big bulk thing,
For cost
maybe you
savings.
could save money. That's the only thing we ever
Use the same
said.
radios, make motor for radio.
Yeah, that's the only thing we
So
ever
it might
said.
be interesting to hear from the new person in a couple of months to see how it is being standardized,
Yes.
and we can look forward to that.
It actually should report to Tom Galliford, so we'll,
Okay, perfect,
All right.
perfect.
Good for having.
anything else? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For your time and service.
Appreciate you guys.
I think
All right.
I make a comment
Close it out.
before we go into the next phase. Can I just ask something? Because what he was talking about was the, things that have to get fixed and the things that were transferred to CNR. Are there other items in different budgets that could be called out of there that would be more appropriate for CNR?
So one of the
You know what I'm
things,
saying?
Mick, do you want to take this in or you want me?
Go ahead.
So one of the things that happens under charter, every department is allowed to pitch their budget to the boards. One of the things that Dan and I were talking about the other day is like, it's something we probably should look at, because there is stuff in there that Dan and I look at and go, yeah, the fire commission said some of that stuff would be CNR, but there's other stuff in there that are one-time purchases that should be CNR. You will probably see that when the Board of Selectmen deliberate, would be my guess, is they're gonna look at some of that stuff. But because, especially the departments that have a commission that oversee them, the fire commission approved their budget. Dan and I talk a lot about this. We don't feel like we have a right to make any changes to that before it goes to the board.
Got it.
Right? Like with other departments, we will make that suggestion. So
Okay.
Thank you.
Brian told me I have 20 minutes to go through.
I'll get through 30.
30?
This is real quick, trust me.
All right.
This is the finance director giving you the number.
All right.
Okay, good.
Go to
So-
mine or you just go to mine?
I'll run through. So 10-100, the only change in there is the salary line. The biggest change in there for the last 15 years I've been here, we've had two part-timers, one person that did benefits part-time and one person that did HR part-time. Our HR person that we were lucky to have that did a full-time job part-time, is retired. We need, and let me back up. In the benefits position, we've moved up to finance because we had some time savings with our new payroll software. So what we've done is the request in here is it's time that the town of Bethel has a full-time HR director. That position is posted now. We're getting candidates for. The budgeted number for that is $95,000. It is a $12,000 increase. Obviously, there will be benefits associated with it because it's a full-time position. The town of Bethel got one heck of a deal for the last 20 years when we had Phyllis Kansky, because she had 40 years experience in HR. She was able to do a full-time job part-time. In part, she was also not charging us when the chief of police would call her at home at 5 o'clock at night, so she made herself available more than the part-time hours, but we were lucky to have somebody doing that job part-time, full-time work part-time. Any questions on the selectmen account?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is the 2,000 here for full-time employees?
So there's one full-time person that's not elected in the in the selectman's office. It is our wonderful Mary Churchill.
Yeah.
That salary, Dan sets the non-union employee salaries. She is an island because she's non-elected. I should have mentioned earlier, the Board of Finance sets the salary for the first selectman and the selectmen. So Brian and Penny, that $11,000, they each get $5,500 a year. And that salary is also set by the Board of Finance. And the next point earlier, if it's going to be adjusted, it should be done during the budget process. I will point out, because we're talking about it now, the first selectman, the salary was kept flat last year. It's not Dan advocating it. If we keep it flat for too long, we're moving it backwards.
If I could speak to that, it was a bad timing and we had some problems. I was in favor of doing it, and Cynthia, we had conversations.
Yeah.
But it was just bad timing. So
It was a tough year.
it's
I
not that
agree.
we didn't support it.
And I'll say that.
We had
it
that
wasn't-
conversation.
We all
Yeah.
talked about it. It was not the year to even think about it.
Yeah. If we did it in the beginning, it would have been fine. It was just too far down the road with all the other problems.
Yeah.
No, Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, in the past, when we gave a raise for first election, it took effect the next term.
So the way that the elected officials have happened, the time I've been here, what's set during the budget takes effect July 1. That's for Lisa Berg, that's for the registers, that's for the first selectman.
I'm sorry, July 1, you said?
July 1, yes, for the budget year.
So in the past, I had a discussion with a number of the previous chairman of the Board of Finances. A few of them, and they would set the first selectman salary, but it would take effect for the next term.
So you could do it either way.
But that's the way they were doing it.
Yes, but no, during my time here, it's been July 1. And I've been here almost 15 years now.
Wow,
Yeah.
you're so young.
I know. Anything else on selectmen budget? Treasurer, there's one line in there. The treasurer gets $5,500 a year, set by the Board of Finance. Any questions about treasurer? All right, next page, finance 10-120. There's two changes to this account. The salary line, so there's 4 people in my office. Part of my salary is allocated to water and sewer. I think it's like 8% to each one or 5. I don't know. It's some percentage. And so there's 2 non-union people, Sebi and myself, and there's 2 union people. The salary changed to 2.18. One of the people in our office is new and they're on steps. So that's why, even though that it's 2 years of raises for the contracted people, the union people, the person's on steps, so they're hired lower than the previous person was making.
What does that mean?
They get raises every.
Yeah,
It's a
so-
new contract.
Yeah.
So
Step one.
in that union, you can be hired between 85 and 100%. That person was hired at 85%. Every 6 months, their salary goes up 2.5% as they gain more experience.
Give us more flexibility on some.
Yeah.
You mentioned the water sewer thing. It's Mike was mentioning. So tax assessor.
Yeah, I mentioned when we talked about it.
Collector?
Collector, we talked about. The assessor, no
Assessor
part
did.
of it.
Okay, and then who else?
So the
Public Works?
So Myself, it's everybody in the tax collector's office. It's Kathy Galvis in Public Works. Her salary is split 50% to the general fund, 25% to water, 25% to sewer. I think that's everybody that has allocations there.
And town clerk is train station also.
Yes, the town clerk gets allocated partially to the train station.
Just make sure.
Okay.
The only other thing in the finance department account is the auditing. I budget, it goes up 5% every year. The fees go up. And some of the reason the fees go up is the state likes to tax them with more things to do every year. So it's not necessarily them just, obviously they're charging us 5% more, but the state makes them do more to finish the audit. Maybe not every year, but every couple of years, there's a new GASB standard that you have to do an OPEB report every year. Boring finance stuff that James and I can talk about today if he wants to be bored.
Are you able to negotiate that every time?
So there is some room for negotiation on it, but it's typically, most of the increases have been based on like the workload increases. So we don't really, when the workload increases, it kind of cuts your legs out on what you can do.
We try to beat our auditors, but sometimes that's what they come back.
Yeah, we have not gone out to bid for services in a while. The auditor the partner from the auditing firm that we've had, we switched auditing firms for a year. The town of Bethel's had the same partner, Joseph Senafani, that's been doing Bethel's audits for like 28 years or something like that. And it's one of those things that sometimes it's nice to have a different eyes on it. Sometimes it's nice to have consistency because his financial history for Bethel goes back further than like myself, or when it was Bob Kozlowski further than it, so there is some nice consistency there because there's a great working relationship.
It was also an issue there for a period of time, finding an auditor can get it done.
Yeah.
And that was a real hassle for a lot of towns.
Yeah, especially like in COVID and coming out of COVID, some of the audits were delayed because they couldn't get staffing. Because they can do some work remote, but there's some things they have to come out for.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get some people that can just sit home and work to come out and do a job. Especially when you have to drive all over the state and go all over the place. Next one would be 10-160 if there's nothing else on finance. Professional services. The good of it is we only have 2 contracts up this year instead of 3. 2 contracts expire June 30th of this year. It is the dispatchers union and it is the public works. The prior year we had police, we had the clerical union, and we had the library union. So even though the library has their own, pretty much most of their fees live there, but like their benefits and stuff live in the general fund budget. A couple of years ago, they approached us about us budgeting for their legal piece of it. And we agreed because we didn't want the volatility in their budget, right? Because if one year they needed 20 grand in legal fees to negotiate a contract, they might jump up 20 grand one year and then it would go down and would they give it back? So some of those things that are variable, it's nice to have an account that we control. And it's nice to make sure that like, they're not going, well, we're not going to have the labor attorney look at this because we don't have the funds for it. Sometimes it's nice for them to go like, look, we have this issue. Can we use the labor attorney? We go, yes, because it's way more expensive for them to do something wrong than to pay for it to be done the right way, especially when you get into labor stuff. So the contract negotiator account is down $15,000 because of that. Legal fees, I budgeted $370,000. If you look at the second page of professional services, I started doing this a number of years ago. I put in what we've actually paid for legal. The 3-year average is 376, the 5 years 270, the 10 is 275. If you look at the 1 year, what we paid last year, 423. The year before that, 326 and 379. This is an account that varies wildly. I think we looked at one P&Z case at over $70,000 of legal fees, or 65, I think it was, just for one person that sued us over a P&Z decision that they ended up winning. But it was $65,000 to $70,000 in legal fees just for that one case.
Brad, can you, for the newer members, just explain how you make up the difference?
What happens is, a couple of years ago, Park and Rec had a really bad year. Fleet had a really bad year. So we try to budget towards the middle things, right? Like 370 might not be enough. It might be too much. You try to budget towards like what we think is average, right? Like, and you hope when this goes bad, this goes good, right? So this year, right now, where we're at in the year, and it's February 10th, it's been a bad year for sand, for salt, for overtime, for public works, for obvious reasons. The prior couple years, we barely had any snow. They had great years. So like, it's the law of average in there, and you hope that not everything breaks the same year.
But we're making it up in that year.
Correct.
Right.
Yes, traditionally. This year we know because when we get to health insurance, we made a switch in health insurance carriers after the budget was set last year, which is a couple hundred, like could be $300,000-$400,000 worth of healthcare savings. So we know there's savings there. We know we haven't had an HR director since November. We have 2 openings in the health department. We have P&Z. We're supposed to have 3 full-time people. We have 1 right now. We have an outside firm doing some of the work of the director, but like, so right now there's savings elsewhere. Obviously, if we get 3 more big storms and they hit on weekends, because weekends are more expensive. My wife laughs at me when all I see is dollars falling, especially on a weekend. But it's, you hope that like not everything ebbs the wrong way in the same time, you know, but we try to budget towards average.
I think what Brad was saying, when there's extra money in one account, and it could be any account, it plugs the holes where we're over.
Yeah. And yes, and there is in account 10420, there is a line in there that says contingency for $60,000. It's been $60,000 since I've been here. So that is one of those things that we don't touch because like 2 years ago, we needed that $60,000. This past year, we didn't, but because we had a better year and things fell right, we were able to pay down the debt for the paramedic. We were able to put more money in CNR. We can't, there's not necessarily like, because we live in a July 1 to June 30th, there's not necessarily an account other than CNR that we can put money to pay for future needs as things break throughout the year. But CNR is like the best example of that. And we also have fund balance.
What you can put in CNR or no?
I think the fund balance policy, there might be a cap on it, but I'd have to look at it. I know there's a cap on what you put in the tax stabilization fund.
Okay.
I think it just talks about anything over 18 you can put.
It's never a problem.
Never a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
There's no direct cap.
if everything goes bad and all the budgets that you talked about are bad, and then this goes bad, what happens at the end of the year?
So the year,
Send the
so
tax bill out.
So we're not sending it supplemental tax bill. That's our nightmare scenario, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times, one of the last things I do is I put the $1 million in CNR. So that one year that everything was looking bad, I knew we weren't going to go over budget because if there was $1 million in CNR, like Nick was the chairman at the time. Nick and I had a lot of conversations about it. And I go, Nick, as of today, we're putting 850 in. And then as you like go through and diagnose things, this was put for the wrong year. You know, like when we cleaned everything up, we were able to put the full $1 million in. Of course, Nick in true Nick fashion goes, no, we're putting the full $1 million in. True or false?
So sorry, did we put the $1 million in?
Yeah, but I'd heard, no.
But Brad, you also, he doesn't budget 100% tax collection. So what is it,
98.6.
98.6. So he does that.
Wiggle room.
There's wiggle room in those numbers.
Yeah,
So you're not figuring that you've collected all the taxes.
But that, so that the 98.6 number is what helps grow our fund balance. You can't exceed your expenses. So say everything broke in 1 year, I would come to the Board of Finance, or I'd come to the Board of Selectmen probably first, and then the Board of Finance and go, we need a budget transfer. Like the 1 year after Park and Rec was really bad, we came to the Board of Finance and said, it's too late to kind of fix everything that year. It was under budgeted by the prior director. So the Park and Rec Commission, in coordination with me and Dan, went to the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance and asked for a budget transfer. So what happened? What budget adjustment? That year, we bumped up the the Park and Rec line of accounts by 190,000, I think it was. And we knew that we had enough interest had been through the roof. We've been collecting interest way over budget. So we made a budget adjustment, $190,000 more to expenses and $190,000 more to revenue. That year we did $2.3 million in interest versus the 690 we budgeted. So we knew we were fine. But that is the other mechanism, is that the boards can do budget adjustments throughout the year. We try not to do that. But again, like last year, we talked a lot about the utility account. I thought we knew it was going to be bad because of what the state and PURA did to the public service charge or public benefit charge. Other things, utilities was over by like 300,000, 400,000. Other things broke well enough that we were okay. But that's my daily stress.
And that's what we pay you for.
Right. Yeah. Any other questions on professional services?
No.
Probate court. I didn't change the budget request for this year. Last year we spent $6,200. It varies. This is just Bethel's share of probate. The probate court services Ridgefield, Newtown, and Reading and Bethel. At the end of June every year, I bill Reading, Ridgefield, and Newtown for their portion of it. It's based on, I don't remember offhand if it's based on population. At one point it was based on campus. Based on some 20 years ago, they decided some ratio to split the charges up, and that's what it is. We don't charge rent or anything like that. It's just actual dollars going out the door. Some towns, we found out later on, do charge rent to probate so they can allocate it to the other towns. I don't know if Dan and I had that conversation or Matt Knickerbocker and I. And the first selectman, whether it was Dan or Matt at the time, goes, it's such a benefit to our residents to have it in Bethel. We weren't going to mess with that. You know, it costs the town, it costs the taxpayers $8,000 a year to have probate in Bethel. It cost Ridgefield $12,000 for it to get done, or whatever they paid last year.
And what affects that? What could make it go up and down?
It's what's actually been some of the biggest drivers, and I think at this point they've done a lot of it. Security became an issue at one point. So when I started 15 years ago, you can just walk into probate and just walk back to the office. Now there's a locked door. They do deal with some irate people. People are going through bad times sometimes when they're in probate. Sometimes they're not. Prior to them having the glass and the locked door, it was probably every other month. You'd walk out of our office and there'd be a couple police officers out there. Sometimes they were just standing there to make their presence known because they knew whatever court hearing was coming up could be an issue. Sometimes they were called because somebody was irate. I remember one day before they had that, I was walking down the hallway and a guy was kind of irate in the hallway, and I just sat in probate because the staff didn't feel necessarily safe. I'm not a scary guy, but to people that don't know me, I look a little scary. So
is that just the salary for the judge?
Nope. So the judge and all the employees are paid by the state through the probate fees.
Okay.
So this is just to run the office. It's their like printer contract, it's paper, it's supplies.
So it doesn't matter how many cases they see or whatever, it doesn't go up or down based on that.
No, it'll go up by that. If they were suddenly crazy busy and they had to buy a bunch more supplies, but like that's why it doesn't vary much. The salaries are paid by the state and all that.
Yeah, just remember, like all the security issues that you've had. I remember because I was on the committee. I didn't want to be on the committee. I was still on the committee when they built this place. The probate court was supposed to be with the first selectmen's offices. And the first day it opened, they changed that and they put they gave the first selectmen's office all the way upstairs, which was next to your office.
Yeah.
To Dan O'Grady, because Dan O'Grady wanted it. And Charlie Texas stood down here. But the purpose, I remember this discussion, the purpose of having a probate court with the first selectmen's office was because of security. It was a quicker access to the door to get him out the door. I don't know why, it still remains that way, or can it change?
We haven't had many riots up there.
Yeah, we're okay.
I mean, I think we're good.
It's just a safety.
And now they're pretty
I
built
think we're
out, so. Dan, you wanna come upstairs?
I'd love to.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
hey, Will, when you take away Penny and I's 5,000, you could take away his office too.
Yeah.
Put that on your list. Put
No,
that
I,
on your list for this year.
I would like not being at
Oh,
the
wait a
front
minute.
of the office when somebody does come in with a firearm. That would be good.
No,
Yeah.
He'll be upstairs.
With the people, that's why it got moved down.
But the purpose of the first selectman's office being next to the comptroller's office was for the real work to be done. That's why
Well,
the
I think
comptroller.
I come down there.
Debbie's doing it all anyway.
Done. I mean,
All right,
But that was the purpose of it.
I know, but you know what?
Starting
All
to get
right,
punchy.
let's go to insurance.
Moving.
Let's go to insurance.
IT.
I'm hungry.
So 10 to 10. IT is next Tuesday.
You're going to insurance.
Go to the next page, go to the next department. We got the renewal rate from our carrier, who is Kerma, which is a pool through Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, started Kerma years ago. It's only for government, state government agencies. The workers' comp is up 1.5%. Last year, I believe it was flat. Some of the years it's gone down. It being up less than the rate of salaries increasing is actually in some way a decrease, because salaries go up every year and they go up more than 1.5% typically. Property liability insurance, what you have in front of you and me is 5%. So we negotiated with Kerma just the end of last week, early this week. So the Board of Selectmen will make an adjustment to it before it comes. So we've just added 2 more years to our contract with them with rate locks. So with doing that, the 5% they were going to increase us, which was the max they were allowed to, is coming down at 2.5%. So you'll see that drop by 14,000 something. And with that new agreement that we signed this week, it is capped at a maximum next year at 2.5% and the following year at 5%. So a 10% increase over 3 years, I look at it as almost like 3 threes. We would take that all day long. Obviously, if we added a new building, we had this, it's with exposure. So if we add a bunch of stuff, they could come back and bill us. Typically, they don't add something like, if we add a vehicle or something, they don't necessarily come back to us for it. But like if we built another school, hopefully we don't. Like they would come back on that, because obviously their exposure increases. Any questions on insurance? 10-340. Not too far. Boards and commissions is down 12.58%. It's down because charter revision is done. So that's a $10,000 decrease. The secretary lines has been budgeted at $20,000 for probably most of the time I've been here. Last year we spent $19,971. It's probably time that we bump it up a little bit. There are boards doing more. You have like Sustainable Bethel. There's other boards doing it. And the secretaries get paid to do the minutes for it. So it was time to bump it up. So, and with charter being down, it wasn't a bad year to correct something that needed to be corrected. Any questions on boards and commissions? No. Employee benefits, 10-390. Overall, that's up 3.8%. Why this is only up 3.8% when our initial renewal rate for our health insurance for our town employees is 17.9% increase is the first selectman and I talked a lot about it. We got, after the budget was set last year, we switched from the state partnership plan to United Healthcare. It was a lot of work. It was a big change for our employees, but instead of being an 11% increase in our healthcare costs, it was a 4% decrease. So there was a lot of headaches with it, but obviously when you're talking about hundreds of $1,000s worth of savings of taxpayer funds, it was worthwhile. Because the budget was already set, obviously that money will be returned. It'll go to the fund balance, or the Board of Finance could transfer it somewhere, assuming we don't need it for snow overtime. And because that was a reduction last year, we're not looking at an 18% increase in our healthcare. If you look at the biggest driver, that is why it's the hospitalization line is up 8. Certain retirees from the town of Bethel get Medicare on retirement. It was no new hires for the last almost 10 years get that benefit anymore, but it was a benefit that existed. The cost of Medicare has gone through the roof. So if you know anybody on Medicare, it's gone through the roof. The town, for a lot of the retirees, pays 75% of that. For an example, we were paying 75% of like $260 for one retiree. That same retiree now, instead of being like $260, is $540.
For Medicare?
It's a Medicare supplement.
Oh, I think, yeah,
They
yeah.
have to, they
Yeah,
carry
you know
Part
what?
A and Part
Yeah,
B.
it's not
It's the
Medicare.
supplement,
Yeah,
yes,
got it.
but yeah, sorry, it's the Medicare supplement piece.
Expensive.
So we got a lot of phone calls from them because they're paying a portion of it, and a lot of them are on fixed incomes, but it is very costly to the town because the town's paying 75% of it. So if you look at the Medicare, medical Medicare retirees, it's up $134,000, almost as much as the actives are up 200,000. So, then they do contribute. There's a line on the bottom that goes retiree contributions to 120,000. It is now up to 160. So it is offset some of that, but it is, and some of that retiree contributions.
So this used to be paid by the BOE fund. Do they have a fund for that? Before this?
No.
Which line
What
are
is
you?
that?
Yeah.
They're talking about the broker line.
Oh, yeah. So the medical broker, before I started, the Board of Ed was self-funded. So when they stopped being self-funded, there was roughly $800,000 of funds that had to be used, that they had in reserve, that had to be used for medical expenses. So the way to use that over time is, instead of having to budget for a medical broker, we use those funds. Those funds no longer exist. They've been used up
Right.
over the last 10 years.
Right.
So now we need to start budgeting for our medical broker.
Hey, Brad, not to get the cart ahead of the
Yeah.
horse here, but I believe that it's probably gonna be a police officer asked for new.
Yeah.
And I believe the first selectman wanted to change 2 part-time into a full-time.
Yeah.
Is those benefits in this?
So to answer your question, partially yes, partially no. So typically when it's completely new hires, that would be benefits. Typically I might budget a portion of it, but we always have vacancies. It always varies.
Yeah.
So the new police officer is not necessarily in that number. The HR person is.
So if that police officer got through the process, you'd have to come back to this benefit package, or you have enough in there to make up that difference?
I would roll with the number we have because you don't know if that new officer is going to take health
People come and
insurance. We
leave.
don't know when we're going to be able to fill the health department.
Okay.
You know, like there is part of this line item in here that is for vacant positions. So if they stay vacant, which at some point we can't leave them vacant forever, but the first selectman doesn't want to just hire somebody. He wants to hire the right
person. No, there's no sense
So
to it.
that's why some of our vacancies are going to stay vacant longer than they go. We could fill all those positions tomorrow, but we'd probably be looking for somebody new in the next 6 months for it.
So would you say there's wiggle room in this account?
I would say hopefully United gets us their next renewal lower, and I can lower it for that. I'd rather lower it for like a very concrete reason than have to come back because by July 1, all these positions are filled.
Gotcha.
You know, somebody has to care now.
Yeah, what is this LoSAP for firefighters?
All right, so that's the other thing I want to talk about here. So that LoSAP, the length of service award program that we talked about earlier. So when that program's existed for a long time. Right around the time I started, they realized that the old chiefs and stuff had made changes to it, and the Board of Selectmen had to dial those changes back. The plan was frozen, no new hires, and nobody new could go into it. So there were funds sitting out there because we used to budget for it. I think for the longest time, it was like $700,000. And that would grow enough to cover the $50,000 a year we were paying to these people that get it. It caps out at $300 per person per month. So, and they got to hit like 65 years old. You got to, there's a bunch of criteria for it. So we stopped budgeting for it at some point because it was paying for itself. In 25, the plan grew by $50,000 and we paid out $100,000 because it was locked in time 15 years ago. Like those people are now getting to the age that they're collecting. So the collection had gone up, and you're not going to make $100,000 on $700,000. So instead of being 700,000 now, it's down to like 500,000 because we didn't, you know, like it happened before we started budgeting for it. So we need to start funding it. So 50,000 for 26, 27, hopefully between planned growth and this contribution, hopefully it stays flat. But don't be surprised if this number is 60,000 the year after that and 70 the year after that, or it could drop at some point because, not to be crude, but like some of these people have been collecting for a long time. Somebody's in there that's collecting.
Are you saying someone's gonna die?
If somebody passes away,
Okay, I
the
just wanna
benefit
make sure
goes
we're
away.
on the
Yeah,
same.
you know,
So this is paid for life for them.
yes, yeah. They have to be an active firefighter for so long, and it caps out at 300.
It's like a mini social security.
Yeah, it's called the length of service award program. It was this nicety that they put in, and it's the same $300 that it was 25 years ago a month. So it's $3,600 a year if they meet the criteria to do. I don't know. They have to do like 25 years as an active volunteer.
It was an incentive.
Yeah.
To stay.
Yep. So, the employee pension contribution in that same, the 5115, is down $165,000. So no new hires on the town side since 2016. It varies by contract, but around 2016 is in the pension plan. So you'll see that is determined by our actuaries. That's been decreasing because it's an active plan, but there's no new entries to it. So that pool drops every year and people collect. So that's what the actuaries say we need to contribute in 26, 27. The flip side of that is when we got rid of pensions for new hire, we put in a defined contribution plan. So that went up $14,000 this year. But instead of having these long-term pensions, we put in that percentage of that person's pay up front. And then the town also contributes to the Board of Ed people that used to would have been a pension person, but now is a not defined contribution. The town always paid for the pension. So it's been this legacy cost that the town carries. But that is in our budget for $257,000 for Board of Ed employees.
And this is all contractual. That's what this is all in here for.
Yeah.
So
The line above it, the police pension, you'll see that there's a new line in there for police health retirement benefit, $50,000. Police officers hired after, is it 2018 or so, Dan? Something like that. Around 2018, they no longer get healthcare on retirement. Ones hired before that, whatever that date is, get it. These ones don't. In the last police contract, obviously, they wanted what the guys had previously. A compromise in there is now we have this fund that the police officers that do not get health insurance upon retirement, if they put in 2% of their base pay, the town's going to match it. So this is our match of that. If they opt into it, which they should, because
get 2%.
yeah. So, but just like one officer that is married, if they retired, could cost us $25,000 town portion if they still have the benefit. So this was an alternative that was something that we felt was more appropriate.
They vest at 15 years.
Correct. Yeah.
So the town money isn't invested till then.
Yeah. We put it in their account right away and it'll grow and all that. But our portion, if they leave before 15 years or normal retirement, whatever happens first, it would come back to us. So.
And not to, how the contract is, the chief just retired and he gets medical for the rest of his life.
Correct.
And his family or just him?
And his family. He is a non-union employee hired once you went to chief, you go non-union.
Right.
So
But
he
still
falls
gets the
under
benefit,
non-union.
right?
Yes.
But it's 30,000 a year to the taxpayer, I would imagine.
Correct. Yes.
So this town defined contribution as the 2%?
So the police one is 2%.
Ah, okay.
Because all new police officers still have a pension.
After 18.
So, that's why they're like, the police pension contribution goes up. It's an active plan.
Most of the others are 7.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the others are 7%?
Most of the other defined
Yeah.
contribution plans are 7 now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And everybody that's on the town defined contribution, it's a mandatory contribution on there and we match it. It's either 6 or 7, but most are 7. So, but it is mandatory on there.
Yeah, so it's not like they can elect to choose some lower number.
Correct.
It would always be.
Yeah. Any other questions on 390? I know, Brian, I'm over my limit. I'm sorry. 10-405 intergovernment agencies. The only notable change in here is the paramedic intercept. So for anybody new, the town funds puts current year it's $450,000 a year to the paramedic program. That is to pay for the paramedics that go on the fly cars. It actually costs like $550,000 a year. We do get some revenue on it to the tune of about $100,000. It was 2 years ago, it's 300,000. It was moved up to 375 with $75,000 coming from ARPA. Then it was moved to 450. We're moving it up to 475. We know we have one old paramedic vehicle that needs replacing. We know there's life pack stuff. The account with the 450 in 2025 actually reduced the long-term, what they'd owe the town by like $15,000, but we didn't buy any equipment that year. So we know we need to buy equipment. We know one of these paramedic vehicles is $60,000 to $70,000. The lifespan of them is a lot longer than a police car. Because if you're here, there might be one out there right now, it's not running. Like Nick talked about engine time. The paramedic vehicles aren't like the police vehicles.
Right.
They don't have the same engine run on them, even though they are used 24/7. And the town owns 3 paramedic vehicles. So the oldest one becomes like the reserve car. So the reserve cars getting to the point that,
And we get some from Reading, is that correct?
yeah, Reading pays a portion of it.
We share that.
Yeah.
And what about the IOU? Is that all cleared up? What we?
So the last transfer that we did in November brought the IOU to now like 130,000.
But it's not done yet.
It's not done yet, but at one point it was close to $500,000.
we
So
beat
we've
it
been
up.
hacking away at it. So, but the reason that we're bumping this budget up is to not then create a new IOU.
Get back in a hole.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the
Um,
source of the revenue?
So the fire departments both have the license for basic life support. So when an ambulance goes out, any revenue, any billing or that they do, they have a billing company that bills. So if you take an ambulance ride, your insurance will be billed for it. If it's just basic life support where they don't need the paramedic, that money all goes to the fire departments. But they also pay, they have the volunteers, they have the service during the day because they don't have enough volunteers during the day. Basic life support money goes to the fire departments. Advanced life support. So if the paramedic has to then ride in the ambulance with you, at whatever they bill for the advanced life support comes to the town. Because the police department holds a license for the advanced life support. The basic life support, each fire department holds a license for.
That comes in on the revenue side as well, right?
Because it's a separate fund. So the paramedic program runs in its own fund, like water and sewers is its own fund. The general fund, it shows up in our budget because this is the town's contribution to that fund. It's similar to like the CNR, like we budget $1 million and that $1 million goes over here to the separate fund. This 475 goes over to the paramedic program.
And the money that comes back when the hospitals pay the paramedics or the insurance pays the paramedics.
Yeah.
Doesn't that come back to us as?
That goes into the paramedic fund now.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
So it's the same fund.
Yeah, the bill, when we pay Northville, New Van, whatever they're called now, when we pay them for the paramedics, that bill is paid out of that separate fund. The revenue goes into that separate fund. This 475 goes into that separate fund.
Cars come out of that fund.
Yeah.
Life packs come out of that fund.
Yeah.
Which is like a
Okay.
$60,000.
So the Board of Finance, like when we need a new paramedic vehicle, that doesn't go through the Board of Finance, it goes to the Board of Selectmen because it's a separate fund. The Board of Finance is in charge of the
So
general
they,
fund.
for their own entity.
Yeah, it's an enterprise fund.
Okay.
And it's supposed to run at break even, but we're trying to get there. But it's never gonna run as break even because we're putting 475 in there. With the 475, the goal is to make it break even. Yeah,
And then perhaps a silly question, but under civic improvements, are we donating $1,000 to each fire department?
It falls under that category of, it's one of those nice things the town has done forever. It's $1,000 to each fire department to the volunteers at their annual dinner. The town donates $1,000 for the private houses. It's a nicety, Karen.
I mean,
Was that a motion?
It's not a deliberation. No motions on it.
I'm just, why is it under civic improvements? Is it to make their building look nicer or?
No, it's a civic improvement by having volunteer fire department.
It's just goodwill.
It's goodwill. Yes. Yeah. It's like in there, like the flowers for the garden club or the cemetery landscaping.
Those two make sense for civic improvement. I just couldn't figure
Yeah,
out what we were civic improving.
Well, I think part of it is remembering how much the volunteer fire departments do other than just putting out fires. That's part of it, I think, is a little recognition.
And I understand. Not our.
Yes.
For the record, what was your address?
Are we good to move on to utilities? 10-410?
Yeah, let's do that.
Utilities is up 3.29%. The short story of it is we were able to lock in gasoline and diesel at a lower price. We locked it in for the coming year, probably 3 or 4 months ago. We timed it well in the fact that from a budget standpoint, if we locked in now, might have been better, maybe, but if something else happened, it could have been worse. So usually with that kind of stuff, we look for budget stability more than necessarily the best, like try to maximize it. Because when you chase the best, sometimes you get the worst, right? So gasoline, which is the gasoline and diesel, is down almost $11,000. Electric, we were able to lock in our electric rate. We had been paying for the last 5 years just over 8 cents per kilowatt hour, which all of us would jump at for our houses. That was a 5-year agreement that ended. We waited out the market a little bit, and when it dropped under 10, that we could lock in another. I think we locked in just under 5 years because we we took out the winter to lock in a lower rate. We locked in at 10 cents a kilowatt hour. The biggest driver that was driving some of this wasn't necessarily the supply rate, it was the delivery. The delivery is chilled out a little bit for right now, but there is still some of that public benefit charge that we took out some of it last year. So that's up a little bit. The biggest driver of why utilities is up $140,000 is a lot of the stuff Pura was doing with the delivery rates for electric. They're looking at natural gas now. The town uses a lot of natural gas because all of our buildings, other than pump stations that are water and sewer, are on natural gas rate.
That's good. Gas is great. We love
So
natural gas.
it is, but now they're going to add additional fees to delivery.
That's not good.
So, and then streetlights 5322 is down 11,500. When the delivery rates went nuts, we bumped this account up to $131,000. If you look at the prior year, it was 106. We got a little too aggressive with thinking how bad it was going to be, so we're coming back down. And by we, I mean me.
I know Sevi didn't do it.
No. Any other questions on utilities?
Yes, question on the solar payments.
All right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so my least favorite topic. So the town currently has a solar farm at the current transfer station that's on top of the old dump. And 3 of the buildings in the school complex have solar on top of it. The track and field center, Rockwell and Johnson. So this Amoresco solar farm payments, the $200,000 you see in here, is what we have to pay to Amoresco for what it generates, and we get credits on our bills. The solar payments, the $50,000 that is the credit in there, is payments that we get back from some of the generation.
What we're
So,
producing.
for what we're producing at the 3 school buildings. The solar farm's a different project. We get net metering.
Yep.
On that one, but we get net metering, but we have to pay Amoresco a good chunk of money. And then the solar farm payments below it, the 101, that's we own on the school complex. Those ones we own. The other one at the solar farm, Amoresco owns. So because we own it, we pay $101,000 a year on that.
And how soon to break even? Where we start?
Never. Well,
Solar
never.
is, if you want to drive yourself nuts as an accountant, try to look at solar stuff. It is the most complicated and convoluted process in the world. We do get delivery, like we do get net metering on like some of our buildings. Some years it's a winner, some years it's a loser.
What was the total cost that we spent on Amoresco? It was
It's
staggering.
That's a lot.
Millions.
Yes.
It was like
But it's-
Oh my
five
God.
something million
So-
dollars.
But that's a different project. So there's 2
Right.
different Amoresco projects.
Right, there
Well, there
was
was
the lights
replacing
and
all
all
the
this.
boilers and everything to
Yeah.
get it efficient
So-
inside.
The Amoresco, the solar farm payments in here, the 200,000 is based on how much it generates. We pay whatever per kilowatt it generates. The Amoresco energy plan payment, the 312, is a 15-year project that we did that did a lot of like energy saving stuff. That was a 15-year program. It goes to 2031.
And does it go up every year?
It goes up every
updated.
year, yeah.
Right.
It goes up. This year it's going up almost $10,000.
Yeah.
But it is like, we know what the payments for that are until 2031.
Right, but do we know what the savings was?
Zero.
So, but some of,
I ask every year.
what's tricky about that, and I know you have a question, Will, is like, part of that was they put air conditioning in the GP room. Air conditioning a part of the building that wasn't like air conditioned otherwise. I don't know how that counts as savings, but it was something that was done as part of the project. So, but that was a $4.5 million project. I think the interest rate on it through Bank of America at the time was like 2%. So $4.5 million principal with a 2% interest over 15 years.
I asked just because, I'm thinking about sort of residential solar, which I actually have, and I know some folks will choose a path where you pay and there's like a break-even point, and then some people choose sort of like to go with like immediate cash flow, right? So they'll do like a lease, and then like as long as the lease payments is lower than the electric bill, you come out of that.
Yeah.
That's what we had, right? A lease with the Amoresco, no? Didn't we have a lease?
So the solar farm, we don't own.
Right.
Amoresco owns.
But we
The
lease
ones
it.
on the other building we own. Yeah, we have like a lease on it. And then
Yeah.
when that's up,
That seems like I'm biting off more than I can chew here, so.
No.
Yeah.
We've asked for years.
It's a tip of the iceberg. Will,
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Thank you. When we started this project, there were assessments and evaluations.
Yep.
We expected to save X amount of dollars and generate some. Have we met any of those expectations?
So the problem is, it's
hard to quantify.
It's so hard to quantify. There's a TV outside of Dan's office that used to show what the solar farm generated, for example. And then at some point we just turned it off. I think, right? Like before.
Yes.
So.
Any more electricity on the TV?
Right,
Yeah, so there are years, so just take the solar farm. Some years we pay Amoresco more than we get in net metering. Like some years we do great and we make way more in credits than we would have.
And why is it?
Excellent question. Because it is capped on how much you can generate. Amoresco is not capped at how much it could get paid. So at a certain point, you stop getting credit on your bills because you've done too much. So one year there was a ton of generation. And then, so the next year we had met our cap because it's not like a fiscal year cap. It's whatever, like a March cap. So we didn't get anything really for April, May, and June that year, but Amoresco still got paid on it. I'm gonna drive Brian nuts at all this up. I'm sorry, Brian.
It's, yeah, solar from a business standpoint is very interesting. I think in a few years, we're gonna have a lot of studies on that, like, that are gonna come out.
Bear with me for one moment, just because somewhat interesting. So, what year is this? This was fiscal year 2023. We got $235,000 worth of credits for the solar farm. We paid Amoresco $165,000. Great. That's $70,000 more in credits than we paid them. The next year, because we had such a good year the year before,
We're being punished.
we got $133,000 worth of savings. We paid Amoresco $155,000.
Wait, the cap doesn't reset every year?
It does reset every year, but not every
Not
fiscal
every
year.
fiscal year.
Mm.
So like the year that it went from 235 to 133,
Right.
we had hit the cap already for the like the major like summer. So like the first 6 months of 23, we got $88,000 worth of credits. The next 6 months we got 49,000. So
You don't have a little box in there to show where we are in running total?
no, because I haven't updated this sheet in like 12 months and I gotta do the general, because I have to pull every one of those bills. I have what we paid Amoresco, like last year we paid Amoresco like 154. The year before that was 165. So at some point, and what they get, the rate that we get goes, that Amoresco goes up every year. So they get 1488 for every kilowatt generated.
My second question, I don't know the answer to this one. This, is the Green Bank involved in financing, getting the financing for this?
I don't know, to be honest with you. Well, I wasn't involved in it when we put it in.
We're lucky.
So, all right.
All right.
Any questions on utilities? Miscellaneous charges and transfers. It's down 5.5%. I talked earlier about that we only have the general fund had 2 unions up last year. This year it has 2 unions up. The police is a big union. So not having the police be up in this contract, that's what's driving it down. But so this is the 193.5 represents the DPW union. It represents the dispatchers and represents non-union wages and elected. There is money in there. So if the Board of Finance decided to get, other than the registers, because they always ask for it in their account and they get mad at me if I do that. So if the Board of Finance decided to give Lisa Berg a raise, whatever the Board of Finance gives Lisa Berg a raise for, this wage adjustment account can come down by.
Okay.
And then town hall expense, we bumped up to 50,000. The prior year actual spend was 53,600. It's all the legal notices, it's paper, it's anything that's not specific for one department goes in there, and all legal notices, but legal notices like 20,000 on it. Any other questions on miscellaneous? Last account, debt service. Debt service is down $43,000. If you look at the second page for any of our new members, when I took over as comptroller, our debt service fund, which is a separate fund, had $3.7 million in it. It got up to $3.7 million from finishing the high school audit. And when we used to do a lot of bonding, they would give you a bond premium, which could be like $2 million if you're doing a big enough bond. So they'd give you more money than you asked for up front. You get a higher interest rate later. So we put that money in the debt service fund. We've been using it over time to kind of keep our debt flat. So if you're looking at the chart on the second page, 2023 was supposed to have a huge spike. That's when the Rockwell and Johnson debt came on board. The red is what we actually budgeted for. We use this debt service fund to take that spike out. And then we kind of kept taking the spike out. And by 2029, without using any of that funds, it'll still go down. It'll actually go up $500 the last year, but we'll be back at flat. because the audit was done for the Rockwell and Johnson schools, it went up roughly $1 million last year. So instead of being left with 400,000 at the end of the plan, we'll be left at 1.4. One of the things that the first selectman and I discussed the other day is, do we use some more of it? Do we keep it where we're at? We have to look at, when we look at the budget as a whole, we'll take a look at it. But debt is naturally coming down because we'll call it the Manfreda doctrine. We haven't been bonding stuff for the most part. And it came down a little bit because we did a refi last year. So, but we've been trying to use fund balance and CNR and not have to bond. Because 10 years ago, we had $10 million worth of short-term debt. Right now, we have none. So that's, and I'm way over my time. I'm sorry, Brian. You guys say it's okay. Any questions on that?
Thanks, Eric. Brad. So we have a couple of things on the board select agenda. If you don't mind, I'll just knock those out. First off, we have appointments to board of commissions. We have the Downtown Advisory Committee. I make a motion that we appoint Catherine Hebert, Jamie Lockwood, Nora O'Neill, Adrian Roberts, Aaron Ray, and Janice Christiana to the Downtown Advisory Committee. Have a second.
It's board of selectmen.
It's the board of selectmen. It's board of
Oh,
selectmen.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, just trying to.
So,
hear
just,
your
yeah,
words.
this is we did a downtown advisory committee made up of business owners downtown for economic development, just kind of as a feedback loop, and they're helping work on the Main Street initiative that we got funding for.
I just didn't understand what commission you were appointing.
Sorry, we're appointing the people to the committee. Any further discussion on that? All in favor, say aye. Aye. The motion carries. And then you guys can do yours. And then we can go on the last one together.
I'll ask for a motion to approve the Board of Finance regular meeting minutes from 1/13/2026.
I'll second it.
Moved Nick, second Will. Oh, sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I make a motion, we don't hear his, I don't want to hear Brad anymore tonight.
I know, but
I'll
you-
second it.
Thank you. Those are big words you used a couple of years ago.
Just to accept his report.
Okay.
Oh, Brad.
Just accept his report. We don't have to hear from him.
Okay,
Well, yeah.
I make a motion, we accept
We
Brad's
accept
report.
Brad's, the finance director's report.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah, let's
Okay,
go.
we have Nick and then we have Will. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Good.
So,
And lastly,
in honor of the birthdays this evening, I'm making a motion to the Board of Selectmen that we table the discussion on 159 Greenwood. I have a second. All in favor tabling for us?
Aye.
Aye. You guys want to do that too?
yes, absolutely. Vote table.
It's your best friend's birthday.
Discussion of 159 Greenwood Avenue. We'll table
second that motion.
Second by Will.
Oh, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
That was a vote.
Second, make a motion.
Second, all in favor?
Motion to adjourn?
Aye.
Okay.
We all
Wonderful.
adjourned. 9:58. That, Mary, that was him and her motion second. All right, sorry, I went quick.
A motion to adjourn. I was
I
first.
think you and
Will was
John and Nick
second.
would triple it. Oh, I thought you did it like. You know, they just want to get 3 minutes. I'm like.
Snow and wind.